They won the Visionary Award. That's the sort of thing I should win.
Why should you win the Visionary Award?
I think I am a visionary.
More phone calls from the lost and found of free speech. Outrageous opinion and controversial comment with the Dual Voltage Dream Team. The Michaels, Graham and Parry. He's back, is he?
Through the night until dawn's early light.
The two Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! When you're lying in bed sometimes, you know, you hear voices yourself advising you... Why are you always bursting into laughter?
Because nobody hears voices in their head.
Of course they do.
Unless they're a bit, a bit bad.
Don't be ridiculous, you do.
You hear voices in your head every night, do you?
Listen, it's not necessarily a voice, but sometimes I'm in bed and suddenly, I leap out of bed and I think that's the answer, eureka, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like hearing a voice, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I've never heard of these voices.
It is.
This is Talk Sports, and we are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to the very, very well-dressed Mr. Mike Porky Parry. You got some new clobber, haven't you?
What do you mean, new clobber?
You got new shirt on, new trousers. What's going on?
Well, no.
Or something?
No, it's just part of my updated wardrobe.
Updated?
You know, yeah.
You've been shopping, haven't you?
No, not necessarily.
Yes, you have. You've got a new shirt and new trousers.
Well, maybe.
I'm very, very much of an observer of these things.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I've had them for some time, so...
They're not your normal creased old purple tramp's trousers. They're rather sort of a finely cut pair of what I would call sort of light grey chinos.
I don't have any purple creased tramp's trousers, so I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Everyone's seen them.
What I do think is worth pointing out is that, the usual doubters said, the Porky Jinx will fall upon Sutton, when I expressed
it will fall upon Sutton now.
A gesture of support for them before the FA Cup draw this evening, or last evening, I should say.
Last evening.
Yeah, and of course, what happened? Sutton get Arsenal at Gander Green Lane. Utterly incredible. Fantastic.
What makes you think they're going to play it there?
Well, they will play it there, I'm sure.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure?
Why? Do you think they'll take it to...
What if they were to make a special plea to say that, they're in need of such funds that they'd like to go and play at the Emirates?
Well, I don't think you can switch games because...
No, I don't think you can either.
No, there's no rule...
But they could make a special plea, couldn't they?
Well, there's no rule in the no law, I should say, in the FA book, which says that just for the convenience of the smaller team getting a bigger crowd, you can swap the grounds. It would have to be a private arrangement between the clubs.
Could they not go to an alternative site? Maybe not to the Emirates, because that would make it a home tie, but could they not nominate another site, perhaps?
Well, the nearest ground to them is Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace,
where we were just the other week.
Get more people in there.
Probably get more. Well, you would definitely get more people in there. I think the capacity is about 31,000 or something like that.
Did you go to the game at the weekend, the Leeds game?
No.
Why not?
I had things I had to do.
What, shopping?
Sorry?
Shopping?
No. Things I had to do, things that have to be done.
You were declaring yourself to be such a great Sutton United fan after last week when I deliberately asked you, why do you not support Sutton in the FA Cup? You said, I can't possibly support a second team in the FA Cup.
Well, you can't,
now that my beloved Everton have been knocked out.
I'm not saying I support them. I'm saying I'm very pleased for them. I live in the heart of Stockbroker Belt there. They're the nearest sort of football club to me of any consequence. There are others like that play in Sunday morning leagues and all that kind of stuff, but they're the nearest real football club. And I think the fact that, what a great cup run can do for you was illustrated by the bucket, wasn't it?
Yes, it
was. The bucket?
The bucket.
Bucket catching the water from the leaking ceiling in the dressing room.
And also,
what a
great joy it was to see a man of the physique of the captain of Sutton United scoring a goal and celebrating in the way that he did.
Indeed.
Because it reminded you of sort of footballers past, didn't it?
Footballers past, it certainly did, yeah.
Who
excellent.
Perhaps not quite as honed as they are now.
Not quite as honed as they are now.
I've got some terribly bad news for you.
What is that?
When I was outside just before the show, checking out a few things, having my pre-show cigarette, which I now have to have outside, there were some people hanging around your car.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I'm not sure what they were doing.
What do you mean?
What are you looking at me like that for?
Because I'm about to leave the studio and go and rescue my fantastic car.
There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. But I just wanted to tell you, in case something does happen down the road, that you don't have to refer back. Let me describe the scene to you, right?
Yes.
I was looking towards your car.
Yes.
And there was a highway maintenance van, sort of transit van, parked almost opposite.
Yes.
And there was a guy with a sort of, yellow high-vis jacket on, bending down by your rear left wheel.
Doing what?
Well, that's what I wasn't sure about. So I went over there because I thought, best thing I can do is to make sure that my broadcasting partner's car is kept in good order.
Yes.
And I said, excuse me, would you like that car to be moved? Because, it belongs to a friend of mine, which is a bit of a lie, obviously.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you're all right, mate. And he was pulling something from underneath it. Yeah. And all I could then see was there was a sort of a cable which was hooked up to the lamppost opposite.
Right.
Which seemed to be going to the other side of the road.
Well, to sort of...
But you'd parked over it.
Clock the number of cars that are going up down the road.
I don't know what it was for.
OK, did you take the registration number of the highways maintenance van?
No.
I will need that.
Well, I didn't take it.
Because they're responsible for anything that happens to my car.
Yeah,
I'll be suing the appropriate local authority.
I didn't take it.
Why didn't you take it?
Because I didn't think to do that.
You're supposed to be a trained observer.
Well, I was watching it, and I made sure that...
and you didn't take any of the facts down?
No.
You dolt.
No, I told you what I did was I watched the guy as he curled up the said sort of cable, right, which he then turned into a sort of a lasso and put it in the back of the van.
Right.
And they drove off.
They drove off,
yeah.
Right.
So I think everything's fine, but I just thought I'd better tell you.
Well, these highways maintenance guys, of course, they don't have a job. You know that, don't you?
Why?
Well, it's a quango.
Is it?
The highways maintenance division.
You see them all over the place.
Yeah, but it never used to exist.
Well, these guys were obviously working because they were taking this thing off the lamppost.
We used to see police cars on motorways, and they were the guys who kept traffic flowing and kept law and order.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you saw all these highways maintenance.
Yes.
What do they maintain?
Well, I mean, presumably they make sure the road is in perfectly good order.
No, they don't, because they don't carry steam hammers. They don't carry a load of tarmac to fill in potholes or anything.
Well,
so how do they maintain the highway?
Well, maybe they report potholes.
No.
So that
if that's all they do, motorists can do that all the time.
Yeah, but motorists don't do
It's a quango which wastes billions of pounds a year. They give them white vans. They put stripes on the white van. Tell them to drive them down the motorways.
And they have orange flashing lights as well.
Orange flashing lights. And then that will sometimes make motorists slow down when they see one up ahead and think it could be a police car.
What, you mean if you happen to be speeding?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I'll just slow down just in case, OK, and all that kind of stuff. But I've never seen them actually do anything. I don't know what they do.
Well, what they obviously do is they go around at night in the middle of London and they retrieve whatever it is, these
bits of wire from under very good, classy...
I don't know what they are.
Fastback two-door sports cars.
I'm talking about very good, classy cars. I don't suppose you happened to see Jeremy Clarkson's programme, The Grand Tour, this week, did you?
No, I didn't. What was on it?
Well, there's a special programme about the F-Pace.
Oh, the F-Pace, yeah. Is that the one you've got?
That's the one.
Yeah.
They put it up against the Bentley.
Yes.
4x4. They put it up against a BMW X5.
Right.
And they put it also up against a sort of top-of-the-range Range Rover.
OK.
And they had a couple of sort of trials, right?
Yes.
In the speed trial.
Yes.
The sort of, the sprint trial.
It
came last.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because it's only got 2-litre engine and all the others had like massive engines, right?
Can't you get one with a 3-litre engine?
You could get one with a 5-litre engine.
5-litre engine. Why do you do that?
I don't know. But on the Autobahn, they got it up to a speed of 155 miles an hour.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And it won the top speed.
Oh yeah, because we all want to drive at 155 miles an hour.
You can if you're in Germany.
How ridiculous.
Well, you can if you're in Germany. You would love to drive. You would love to drive at that speed.
I would never drive at that speed. That's dangerous.
But you know what?
If you get a burst tyre at that speed, you are brown bread.
But they kept referring to it as a cheap car, right?
And you would write off another half dozen vehicles.
They kept referring to it as a cheap car because amongst these other cars it was cheap because the Bentley starts 160,000.
Yes.
Right? The one they were driving was 220.
Right.
Which meant that there were more. The cost of the extras on the Bentley were more than the cost of the actual Jaguar.
Amazing. Do you know what's coming next?
Ridiculous. What do you mean amazing?
Well, no, that is amazing.
You're moving on now, aren't you?
Yes, because it's the same subject. No, it's the same subject.
Yeah,
do you know what's coming next?
What's coming next?
The 4x4 Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And guess what?
They do a Maserati now.
And a Maserati, do they? Okay. Now, guess what? You know the Lady Penelope Rolls-Royce?
What, the one with the 6 wheels?
No. What we call the Lady Penelope Rolls-Royce.
Well, Lady Penelope's Rolls-Royce has got 6 wheels.
No. The current silver...
Got 4 in the front, 2 in the back.
It's not the Lady Penelope. That's a toy. Well,
I had one of those.
Oh, you had one, yeah. But I'm talking about the real car. Now, the real car, I think it's called the Silver Spur. Owned by Mr. Gold and Mr. Sullivan, the owners of West Ham.
Well, they got one each.
They got one each. I think owned by Lord Alan Sugar. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about anyway. Big square car.
Yeah, horrible, ugly thing.
Well, you think, and I think that as well a bit. But guess what?
Yeah, go on.
They're never going to produce another one of those.
Why not?
They're closing down that production line.
Are they?
To build one for the Rolls-Royce 4x4. I was reading in one of my journals today.
Were you?
Yeah.
Are you going to order one?
No, I'm not. They're too expensive. Now, I'm not saying that there will never be another square Rolls-Royce, but I'm telling you the plan is to phase them out.
I see.
Yeah, so, you get news as it happens here.
Yeah, indeed. Adrian says this, 2 minutes in and Porky's already cocked up. Farnborough drew Arsenal at home in 2003. They switched the tie to Highbury. Well, maybe they've changed the rules since then.
Yeah, I'm sure they have changed the rules since then.
But I'm pretty sure they can nominate a neutral territory that they can go and play on if they want to get a bigger gate.
Well, they would have to hire the ground, and as long as Arsenal agreed, it wouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah.
That's all you do. It's a simple commercial arrangement.
Sure.
Which would be a very good idea. But then if the hiring of the ground...
Well, you know how you like clubs to move from their own grounds, like you did with Millwall?
No.
How good are Millwall at the moment, by the way? Ever since you said that they should move to North Kent, they've had nothing but great success.
I gave them a bit of
They've won against Lewisham Council. They're staying where they are. Yeah. They beat Bournemouth, and now they've beaten Watford.
Gave them a bit of stimulus. Listen, I was telling...
You've seen the time, by the way.
I was telling the chaps in the previous show when we came in to say hello.
Jason and Andy.
Yes, Jason and Andy, about these scarf arrangements, right?
Yes.
Don't you think it's ridiculous?
Well, I wouldn't want one, but I think I've seen kids that like to have them. So I mean, I think if there must be a market for it. Otherwise, nobody would make them.
I came out of Sutton railway station, because I had a meeting in Sutton.
In Sutton, you weren't on your way home.
Sorry?
You weren't on your way home?
No. This is Sunday. This is lunchtime Sunday because the game is 2:00.
All right.
And there was a chap there, and I was waiting for my car to arrive.
How near is it to the station, the ground?
It's quite a walk, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, it's quite a considerable walk because it's Gander Green Lane and it's a way out.
You don't know, do you?
I do. I know exactly where it is.
Do you?
But anyway, the point of my story...
Can you hurry up, please?
We're
really out of time already.
This poor chap was walking up and down, get your celebration scarf, get your colours. The problem was, they were both colours. It said Sutton United.
White, blue and yellow.
United. One was yellow, one was white.
Yeah.
And, you couldn't wear it and go to the match.
Well, you see these scarves all the time now.
No, but you couldn't honestly wear it. You're either a Sutton fan or you're a Leeds United fan. All the Leeds United fans are pouring out the station.
There are lots of people who don't like those scarves, but trust me, they've been on sale for a very long time.
Well, I know.
Every game.
But I'm not sure who buys them and why they buy them or what for,
Yeah, but people must buy them, otherwise people wouldn't be selling them.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I think they'll never have sold a scarf like that before outside Sutton Station, and I think they'll be... Well, in the 20 minutes I was watching this guy, he didn't sell one scarf.
Well, how many people walked past him?
Must have been dozens, if not hundreds.
Really?
It's a main railway station, you know? Yeah.
All right.
I don't think he was going to have a good day. And I pitied the poor
just standing there watching him?
I was standing there watching him. And I admire his enterprise. But I'm not sure whether it worked for him. I hope it did.
Yeah, I'm sure
I wish you a successful life as a commercial trader.
Yeah, you're full of magnanimity this morning, aren't you? This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Talk Sport, we are the Two Mics. There's lots to do tonight. We're going to talk to Mark Donaldson. Steve Lillywhite's going to be on the show as well, of course, talking ahead of the Liverpool-Chelsea game, which is a massively important game for Jurgen Klopp. Here's one from Kevin, who says, sounds like the repo man got his paws on the fastback sports car, which is quite funny. And here's one from, who is it, James. He said, just driven past in a taxi, your cars are fine, both could do with a wash. There's no point in washing cars at the moment.
No.
It's too filthy out
there.
No,
it is,
I
agree.
Very dirty. And one from Ian, who says, these cables are to measure traffic flow in certain areas as cars drive over the cable.
Oh, really?
Well, I'll tell you what's going to come next then, if that's what they're doing. They'll probably recommend that they make this street into a pedestrianised zone.
Yes.
What do you reckon?
No, they can't do that.
Why not?
Well, because we've got car parks up and down here, which people have to get access to. There's one at the top for the business warehouse at the top.
Yeah, but
that
doesn't mean anything. That means nothing. If they're going to start paving over central London, which I think they are, you might find, actually, that is indeed what will happen next.
That's a bit worrying.
Because what's the point of trying to measure traffic flow, like in the evening?
Well, you don't get much traffic up and down here in the evening, actually.
No,
I'm pretty pleased to say.
Unless one of the streets nearby is closed down.
Exactly. Now, this is a bit worrying. The Two Mics just driven past in the taxi.
I've just read that out.
I know, but how does he know there are cars? I don't have a sign on the roof saying, this is the Porkmobile.
Because you're always talking about what car you have.
Well.
Listen, he knows where Talk Sport is, right?
Yeah. Now, listen, I want to talk to you about something which morally is concerning me.
Really?
And I feel I will have your support on it, okay? Yeah. Now...
Well, I wouldn't wish to make an assumption on that front.
Why not?
Because you don't know whether you get my support until you tell me what it is.
Okay. What is worrying me is that there is going to be a new exhibition very soon of paintings by the man who I think was possibly one of the biggest con artists of all time, Picasso, okay?
Yes, what do you mean a con artist?
Well,
that's the first thing I'm going to disagree with you about.
Yeah, I mean, because his paintings to me were just gobbledygook, you know?
That doesn't surprise me.
He's dead, by the way, isn't he?
Picasso?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo. That's right. Yeah. Now, the point is...
Have you seen those great pictures of him painting in a shirt and tie?
No.
He used to wear a shirt and tie when he painted.
Not all the time.
Not all the time,
for
no.
everyone.
Not all the time,
the
but when
point
he was
is,
painting Guernica, for example.
yeah, I'm going to show you one of the pictures that is going to be in this exhibition, and this exhibition is going to be just up the road from us. That's why I'm particularly worried about it.
Just up the road?
The Tate Modern.
Tate Modern.
Tate Modern's
Yeah.
just up the road.
Just round
Would you
the
agree?
corner. Just round the corner.
So it says one of Picasso's most erotic and expensive pictures is to form the centrepiece of the biggest exhibition of the artist's work to be held in Britain ever, OK? And then it goes on to say it's going to be at the Tate.
Where's it coming from, this painting?
Well, they're coming from all over the world, literally.
Are they private collectors, then?
Some of them are. But what worries me is that the centre part of this painting is so offensive.
Right.
So crude.
Offensive, why?
It is so offensive.
Well, tell me why it's offensive.
So crude,
Tell
so
me
pornographic.
Why?
I do not believe...
What's it a picture of?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, although it's difficult on a family show.
Well, see if you could describe it.
I do not believe that this should be on view in any civilised country.
Are you sure you're not Victorian?
No. Now, it's called
Come on,
La
what is it?
Rive, OK?
La Rive.
La Rive, R-E-V-E, with one of those inflection things over the first E.
Was it
okay?
a acute or a grave accent?
It's a grave. And the point is, it is supposed to be a painting.
If it's a grave, it should be La Rêve, then, shouldn't it?
La Rêve, I think that's right. La Rêve. Now, the thing is, this is supposed to be a sexually charged 1932 portrait of Picasso's 22-year-old lover, Marie-Thérèse Walter, OK?
Marie-Thérèse Walter.
Yeah, and
Walter.
it is... Walter.
Walter?
Walter, as in Walter J. Thompson. Walter.
Right.
And it will be shown in Britain for the first time.
Yes, good.
Now,
well, I'm all for that.
Yes, but it's no wonder it's being shown in Britain for the first time.
Yeah.
This painting, and anybody who's of a sensitive nature now should switch
I know
their radio
the
off.
painting. Yeah, I've seen it before.
Now, what this is it is a woman reclining in a chair.
Yeah.
With her head back on the chair, with flaxen coloured hair.
Yeah.
But a panicular structure is attached to her chin.
What?
And then doubles
What are you
back
talking
over
about?
her head. What's your problem?
That's just the way he's drawn her face.
No.
That is not a penis.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh,
That is not a penis.
It is a panicular structure.
Rubbish. Well, if yours looks like that, you've got problems.
It is a
That's all I can say.
It is a panicular, and I tell you what,
It is not a penis. I'm sorry.
I
it's
think
not.
I think we will let the audience make their mind up on
Okay.
this, and I want you to source a picture of this, please.
I have already, yeah.
And thank
There's
you.
that picture there, right?
Yeah, and I want you to tweet this out, please.
Have you decided, sort of independently, this is what you've
This
seen?
is a panicular structure attached to this woman's head.
I don't think
It
so.
is no wonder it's never been shown in this country before. It is gross to my mind, offensive.
It's not at
and
all. It's part of her face.
It's not part of it. I can't possibly be part of her face.
If you look at it the other way around, right?
What do you mean the other way around?
If you look at it the other way around, it's got her eye and her eyebrow, right? That's part of her face.
No.
It is.
No, you're wrong.
Do you know what the painting actually is called?
La Rêve.
Yeah, but do you know what that means? It doesn't mean the penis. It means
No.
the
of course-
dream.
Yeah, the dream. Yeah. No. I want you to put this out, and then I want our audience of millions to make up their own mind whether or not they think this painting should be exhibited in Britain for the first time. Okay?
Well, I think it should. So
Well, I do not.
So your first point of contact, which was to say to me you had a moral outrage to share with me,
Yes.
which I would support.
Yes.
I don't support it.
Well, I thought
I'm
you
all
would.
I'm all for art being shown to the millions of people that would like to see it.
No.
And I think you're being very, very prudish and unnecessarily
I'm not being prudish.
ridiculous.
It's all very well of you to say. Oh,
I mean, have you got any other paintings you see penises in?
hang on.
Hey?
Excuse
How about
me.
the Hayway?
Excuse me, it's a family show.
The Hayway, there might be one lurking in the corner.
I would like you to be a little bit more restrained with your language, please. I've not described
Penis
it the way
is not
you
a
did.
bad word.
Panicular structure,
A penis
I prefer.
it's not a banned word.
A panicular structure, and what's more, for you to say, turn it sideways and it looks like part of a face.
It is part of her face.
No. Obviously, Picasso, who had some very strange sort of attitudes and feelings towards the opposite sex, right?
What do you mean?
Well, he was quite keen on it, wasn't he?
Well, what's strange about being quite keen on it?
Well, to be painting paintings like this, you've got to be a bit of a weirdo, I'm telling you. Now, have you put
to see something like that in it is a bit weird.
Not at all. Not at all. You wait until our audience of millions look at it and they can make up their own mind.
Well, I'm sending it out now.
And for that and I will retweet it as soon as I see it. And for that reason, I sincerely believe that there should be some sort of protest against this, to be honest.
How are you spelling panicular? Is it P-E-N-I-C-U-L-A-R?
That's it, yes.
Are you sure that's a word?
I believe it to be a panicular structure attached to this woman's chin and a sort of sleight of hand way of introducing pornography, for want of a better word,
rubbish.
to this painting.
All right, I'm going to say, is this the Picasso panicular portrait?
Yes.
That Porky says it is?
Yes.
Can you see anything in it?
Yes, please.
How's that? You all right with that?
Yes, that'll do fine,
Okay,
please,
well,
if you would,
I'm going to tweet that out now.
Yeah, OK. You tweet that out now.
Yeah.
I will then have a look at it. I will then pass it on to, further...
Are you sure nobody else
listeners?
has come up with this? You haven't been
What do you
involved
mean?
with the sort of Mary Whitehouse League of Gentlemen?
Not at all.
Have you?
Not at all. I promise you that's the first time I've ever seen this quite disturbing image.
So who owns the picture, does it say?
Yes, this is another great thing about it. It is owned by a chap called Steve Wynn.
Steve Wynn?
Yes.
He's the casino mogul.
I was about to say to you, who owns the world's most famous casino, Wynn's, in Las Vegas.
Well, I think he also has a show called La Rev.
Does he?
Yeah. Maybe that's why.
And I have to say that he sold this painting, right?
Probably worth a fortune.
Oh, hang on. Well, he sold it for £103 million.
There you go.
And that's after he managed to put his elbow through it, believe it or not. Yeah.
Wonder why was he put his elbow through it?
But by mistake, he damaged it. It says here, let me see. And Steve Wynn, by the way, one of the world's most successful businessmen.
He is.
It said, now, an expert, Mr. Buckhard Hume, okay?
Who?
Buckhard Hume.
Buckhard?
Yes, Mr. Buckhard. Yeah, Mr. Buckhard Hume said that during 1932, Picasso had bursts of activity that were feats of painterly ambition that almost defy belief. Well, this defies belief, this painting, believe me, it certainly does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Peter says this, panicular structure, jackpot. Tell me a psychotherapist is going to call in and analyse the Porkmeister.
Yeah?
He's seen paniculars.
No, I'm telling you.
Take down your paniculars.
No, thank you. Now, it says here...
I can't believe you're saying all this. I can't believe you're looking at this portrait and seeing what you're seeing.
Well, your eyes must be funny.
Well, of course, it looks, it's a slight optical illusion, right? Perhaps
it's not,
but it is obviously part of her face. It's the way Picasso draws.
Well, I'm now retweeting this, okay, with my own added comment. Do you agree with me that this painting?
Dickie says only a pervert like Porky could look at that and see a penis.
Rubbish. I'm just typing this out now.
Robert says there's also a nipple on view as well, Porky. Outrageous.
There is. It says here, let me see. Visitors will have the opportunity to analyse a notorious restoration job on La Rev, okay?
Yeah.
After an over-exuberant owner stuck an elbow through the multi-million-pound canvas. The casino magnate Steve Wynn was on the verge of selling the painting to a fellow collector, Stephen Cohen, when he made the 6-inch tear. The painting was restored, and after the restoration and a battle with the insurers, Lloyd's of London, Mr. Wynn eventually sold the canvas to Mr. Cohen for £103 million, the highest price known to have been paid by a US collector for an artwork.
Have you seen the time, by the way?
And
the time.
And Mr. Buckhard Hume is the director of exhibitions at the Tate Modern.
Is he?
His full name is Akim Buckhard Hume.
How are you spelling Bockhard?
Bockhard.
Yeah.
Bockhard is BOCHARDT -Hume.
Bockhart. It sounds German.
Yeah, Bockhard Hume.
Possibly. Here's one from... I can't read that one out.
Yeah.
This is definitely a panicular structure, says Daniel, on her face. You can tell because her hair isn't attached to it.
Exactly.
What the hell are you talking about?
No, it's absolutely right.
Unbelievable.
It's ridiculous for you to say turn it sideways and it's part of a face. There is no hair.
Well, you don't have to turn it
from
sideways.
The top of, look, I'm telling you, I am right.
Have you never seen the Human League?
The Human League?
Yeah.
Oh, what, those boys who used to grease their hair back,
Oh, no,
is that it?
one side of his head didn't have any hair on it.
Well, I mean, that's not normal, is it? That is just not normal, man, I'm telling you.
You accuse him of having some kind of structure on his head. Anyway.
He didn't have a panicular structure sticking out of his chin.
Yeah. Somebody's saying it's a porky fallacy, which is rather clever.
Certainly not.
This is Talk Sport.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Here's one from David who says, with all the pictures and artists around the world, pictures as well, why has Porky picked this one?
Because it's coming to Britain for the first time.
So you happen to see this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In one of your journals?
Yes, in one of my journals.
But
in
nobody
one of my,
alerted you to
arts journals.
the structure that you have talked about.
What do you mean, what structure?
Well, the panicular structure you keep banging on about.
No, I saw it for the first time. I thought, Picasso. I always thought he was a bit of a con man. Let me look at some of his paintings.
He's not a con man at all.
To see whether he did actually paint anything worth looking at. And then the first one that pops up on my screen is this, and I'm appalled. I'm appalled, honestly.
Stephen says this: Porky's lost the plot. There's no gonads. Let's hope his car still has the wheels on.
yeah, I'm hoping that as well.
There's an awful lot of tweets coming in, some of which I can't read out, or some of which I have to edit quite substantially in order not to say anything rude, right?
Why?
Because people are using words which we would prefer not to say
Well,
on the radio.
I would hope you wouldn't. That's why I've called it panicular structure, because I wish to keep this as family show dialogue.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Dave
we have a big
says-
audience out there. We're not upsetting anybody.
Exactly. A lot of children listening as well. Especially young Flynn,
Yes,
right?
exactly, yeah.
Funny how Porky can see a penis in the painting and not be bothered by one of her, and I'm not going to say this word, hanging out, which I think is referring to one of her breasts.
She's one of her breasts, but it's only just sort of, emerging from a blouse. Well, I mean, look, you could just about say that's an acceptable form of modern art,
really?
The female form and all that, but I don't know any woman, and I know a lot of women who've got breasts, okay, no problem at all. Yes, that's right, yeah. And therefore, that's a perfectly normal part of a woman's anatomy.
I once went out with an Italian girl who had no breasts at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think you should know about
She was
this.
very flat-chested.
Okay, well, there you go. And
very nice, though.
But no woman has this sort of structure on her face, and that's why I think it's gratuitously offensive. Gratuitously.
I've never heard so much
It
rubbish
is.
in my
No,
life.
it's not. I'll tell you what, I bet you the majority of people watching and listening and looking at this will agree with me.
Bob in Cambridge says, Porky is seeing things. A picture of Don Revy would be more erotic than La Rev.
Rev and Don Revy. Don Revy was in, what did I see football-wise over the... Oh, yeah, Tina.
He posed for
Tina.
Manet, I believe, didn't he?
Hey?
He posed for Manet, didn't he?
No, he didn't pose for Manet, the artist. No, I'll tell you what it was. It was the last episode of
Monet?
Tina and Bobby.
Tina and Bobby?
Yeah.
I only saw the first one.
Yeah, well...
We had the director on our show.
We did, yeah.
In the warm-up.
Well, by the time we got to the third one, by the way, and this will be in Porky Vision tomorrow night, I'm not sure it was worth bothering, to be honest.
Well, you mean it wasn't very good?
Well, it kind of petered out a bit towards the end.
Did it?
Listen, talking about footballers, right. Now, obviously, of George Best.
I know of him. What?
And you know...
What do you mean?
Sorry?
What do you mean, do I know of George Best?
What do you know George
Best
Best
was? I've just crept out of an egg or something.
No, sorry. But the point is, I have a special affiliation with the late George Best, I should say. Well, because he used to live down the road from me in
You're also an
Stockbroker Belt.
alcoholic.
Is that a very kind thing to say about a man who's not here to defend himself?
Well, he was perfectly open about it.
Yeah, he was, actually.
He said when he came out after his liver transplant, if he had another drink, it might kill him.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Shortly before ordering another drink.
Which did kill him, yeah. That's right, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Shouldn't be disrespectful.
I think George
anyway,
Best would have laughed at it.
Anyway, we used to go to, in fact, still do, go to a pub called The Well.
When you say we?
Well, myself and some friends,
I see.
sometimes Sunday
I've never been
lunchtime.
there, though.
No, you've not been there with me, but you're not really that sort of class of friend.
When you use that particular pronoun, we,
I
usually assume you were talking about the two people who sit in the same room together,
no,
rather than you and some other.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah, no,
group of characters.
A group of friends of mine who are rather better stock, from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, so to speak. We go to the Well, which is in a place called Lower Kingswood, actually. And
isn't that a place where Dave Emery used to go?
No. That was in Esher. That was near Esher.
Okay.
But anyway, this place, interestingly, if you came out the back door and walked up the hill through the gardens of the pub and down the other side, you'd go into George Best's garden, okay?
Hey, by the way, this is interesting. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
But Richard says, I'm a bit more concerned about the six-fingered hands, which I've just noticed.
Let's have a look. Six-fingered hands, are
He's got 5 fingers and a
3,
thumb.
4, 5. Yeah, right. 5 fingers and a thumb. That is very unusual. Well, there you see. I told you it was a weirdo.
Why didn't you notice that?
Well, because I was more interested in the offensive nature of things. I don't know
how you've managed to spot this. It's quite remarkable.
What do you mean how I managed to spot it? It's obvious.
Because when I look at this painting, I see a woman's face. I don't see a great big penis sticking out of the side.
I see a panicular structure extending from her chin around to the top of her head. And if you can't see that, then you're blind.
Well, I can see it now that you've told me, but I don't see it when I look at the painting. I see a woman's face.
Right.
And the shadow from the left side of her nose is what would apparently delineate that structure that you're referring to.
No, not at all. Now, OK, well, if that's the case, then what's the shadow below her nose, then?
Eh?
What's the shadow below her nose?
Well, that's to delineate the nose. It's a cubist painting, right?
No.
You need the nose has to look as if it is sort of at a different angle from the rest of her face. That's how he draws.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you all this about George Best...
Let's say there's nothing else, below it, is there? If you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I can understand when you say her nose casts the shadow on the far side of her face.
It's just his style of drawing a
but
woman's face.
underneath the nose, where there is no nose, there's still shadow, but it's not shadow, it's a gap
maybe
where the panicular structure is then highlighted.
Maybe you've discovered something unique in Picasso's drawings. Maybe we should ask people to study some of his other drawings.
Maybe I have.
And see whether they can find any other panicular structures.
Maybe I'm the only, right-thinking person, so to speak.
I doubt that very much.
Now then, the reason I'm telling you all this is because, sadly, after George died, we used to see Alex sometimes. Alex was his wife.
Yes.
And his widow. Well, it wasn't I'm not sure if they might have been divorced, but
I think they got divorced before he died, didn't they?
They were separated, certainly. She's an ex-model, but she said over the weekend, that despite the fact that she's moved twice, so she's moved from the house that I'm talking about, behind the pub, to another house and now a third house, George Best's ghost is living with her.
What?
Yes.
A ghost?
His ghost? She says George Best's ghost is living with her, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. She says...
this to?
Well, she's been speaking about it, and I've been picking it up. She says the football legend Spirit has been with us since his death in 2005 because of spooky goings-on in the properties. Alex, who is 44, says that for years he has moved her furniture, hidden her keys and mobile, and switched the lights on and off.
Really?
Yep.
I don't believe that.
Now, medium Michael Kodori, OK?
Who?
Kodori, Codori,
Kodori,
has told her the ex-Manchester United star actually loves her too much to be able to leave her presence.
Is that right?
I mean, this is a
Sounds
great
like
love story.
Rubbish to me.
She believes the American medium, OK?
Yeah.
After he told her details of a memory that only she and George could possibly have known about.
Oh, yeah?
So an intimate moment between her and George, right?
What?
Well, I don't know, because it's an intimate memory between she and George, and they never told anybody else.
I see.
But she says this guy knows.
Well,
so
he might have told somebody.
Well, he's got it from George's spirit.
Yeah,
this is the implication.
He might have got it from one of George's friends.
Now, Alex, who... well, no, because it was only George and her
Yes,
and
but you say that, but, I mean, George may have told people things that, she wasn't aware of.
Well, OK, but
That's possible, isn't it?
She says not, but anyway, there we go. So Alex, who still lives in Surrey, but we're not revealing where,
That's
because
good.
of this ghostly presence in her house,
Well,
know.
not because of the ghost, but because you shouldn't have to tell people where she lives.
Exactly. She said, he also told me George loves me too much to leave. This is the third house I've lived in. He's followed me, but it honestly doesn't bother me. And then I'm afraid that I have to conclude...
She's not like promoting some show about mediums.
No, not at all. Not
sure?
at all. Not at all. Not at all. In fact, she used to run a little business in a place called Walton on the Hill.
Walton on the Hill, yeah. Walton on Thames.
No, Walton on the Hill,
Yeah.
where there's a pond where a lot of ducks, part of my duck conservancy.
You go there?
I do.
Yeah.
And
you ever see her there?
No, because I'm not sure she still has a business. It was like...
what was the business?
Sort of nail bar and beauty shop, that sort of thing. Yeah,
right.
yeah, that sort of thing.
Does she not have that anymore then?
I don't know, because I don't sort of examine...
Sounds like a load of old rubbish, this.
Well, no, I mean...
You believe in ghosts, do you?
No, I don't believe in ghosts.
Well,
no.
then why do you think this is a good story?
Well, because I think that she will have been so close to George that she will have felt his presence wherever she goes. That's what I think, OK?
Well, so
I
it's
think
not a
you can
ghost
carry it
as
with
such.
you.
Well, yeah, you can carry any number of things with you.
Yeah, that's what I
doesn't mean
think.
that there's a ghostly apparition following you from house to house.
Well, it doesn't say apparition, she says a presence, and I think you can always be aware of a presence, can't you? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is that if you find it difficult to let go because
Yeah.
somebody that you've been very attached to has sadly departed,
Yes.
and
Well, that'll
moved
never happen
on.
to you, will it?
By the way, did I tell you? Did I tell you about an old colleague, Alexander Chancellor?
No.
Alexander Chancellor, right, was
Yeah.
a kind of distinguished sort of gentleman journalist.
Yes.
Who?
Did you work with him?
No, I didn't work with him. No, but I used to
You
see
called him an old colleague.
Well, I used to see him in Elvino's in Fleet Street.
That doesn't mean he's a colleague.
Well, he was actually, but he was a drinking colleague, so to speak.
Did he not work for the Times?
No, he didn't. No, he was a patrician journalist.
Yeah.
By that, I mean a gentleman journalist who went to Eton and Trinity Hall, Cambridge.
Right.
Okay,
So you were always trying to look up to him. Then.
Well, no, I wasn't looking up to him, but I used to
See the
see
Time,
him
by the way.
at Elvino's. He used to stand at the bar drinking pink gins and that kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
But anyway, the point is, he had all these sort of upper class type jobs. He was Washington correspondent for the Independent. independent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he worked for the Times for a while.
No, deputy editor of the Sunday Telegraph
Right.
and editor of one of the Independent magazine, the Saturday magazine in the Independent, all that sort of stuff,
yeah,
you know.
okay.
But anyway, the point of the story is...
What is the point of the story?
His last job has been writing a column for a magazine called Spectator.
Yes.
Now, every week on a Thursday, I get New Statesman, I get Spectator.
Uh-huh.
I read them cover to cover
Right.
because it gives you a balanced view of the political scene, left and right.
Really?
Okay?
Okay.
No problem at all. I read his column on Friday morning,
Yes.
right, this week, with his name over it,
Yeah.
and a picture of him by Alexander Chancellor.
Yes.
And guess what?
What?
On Saturday morning,
Yeah.
I read his obituary in the Times.
Really?
He died he died.
No.
He died later on
So they
Thursday,
must-
early Friday. He died Friday.
What, just shortly after he wrote that piece? What was
Yeah.
it about?
Hey,
What was it about?
this week?
Yeah. Oh. Can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was about, wildlife in the country or something
Really?
like that. Yeah,
You sure?
Probably. That's what he used to write
You
about
obviously
quite a lot.
paid close attention to his last column.
Yes, definitely.
Well
yeah.
done.
But don't you think that's amazing?
No.
It's amazing.
Well,
that
he was not
one
very
minute,
young, was
one
he?
minute I'm reading his... No, he was 77.
Right.
1 minute I'm reading his column, next
Yeah.
minute, my God, he collapsed and died at home in Northampton. Amazing.
Well, we're very sorry
Life
to
can
hear
shock
that.
you.
Life can shock you. Mark Donaldson's coming up next.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Madness, they call it madness.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There is, of course, an episode of Heroes and Villains coming up a little bit later on. We'll be looking ahead to Liverpool-Chelsea with Steve Lillywhite, the Grammy Award-winning producer of
Indeed.
U2, a little bit later on. A couple of artistic appreciation tweets have come in. Here's one from Phil.
Yes.
He obviously knows a lot about La Rêve that you don't know about. He says, the phallic symbol hidden in La Rêve is deliberate. It's supposed to suggest she is dreaming of him.
Well, there you go. So it definitely is a panicular structure then,
No,
isn't it? You
not-
said it wasn't.
No. Well, what? Because
It
Phil,
shows what you know.
Because Phil has tweeted in.
Yes.
How about this from Christo?
Phil's clearly an expert on these sort of things.
The most offensive thing on view in this painting is the wallpaper.
Yeah, wallpaper's pretty grim, I
Got
agree.
a point, yeah. Anyway, let's talk to Mark Donaldson because
Indeed.
there's loads and loads of things to talk about. Tennis, we got NFL to talk about, Super Bowl week down in Houston.
Yes.
Mark, a very, very good morning to you.
Morning, gents. How are you both?
Very well indeed,
very
Mark,
well
thanks.
indeed. Have you been checking yourself in with the local British consulate just in case of any last-minute problems over there with Mr. Trump and his desire to remove all undesirables from strange countries out of the place?
I dressed up as a minion at the weekend to try and avoid deportation.
Very well done.
Posted it on social media.
Yeah.
It's chaotic. Honestly, it is really chaotic. And now what we're getting is everyone going through Trump's old tweets before he became president.
right.
And it's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I think the worry is I'm supposed to be coming over there at some point in the near future. And I mean, the scenes.
Well, they won't let you
the
in.
scenes at Kennedy Airport.
Bladderated womanizer.
I was thinking I might go via Somalia, see how I try my luck, But I mean, there's a cheaper fare now if you go, through that part of the world.
Yeah.
But the point is that even if you could ever get through immigration, you can't get out of the airport because of all these people demonstrating.
That's right.
It's a nightmare now. It really is. And there's a lot of talk over here about the 7 nations of which you're not allowed to come in from.
Yeah.
It just so happens that some of the more raucous nations surrounding those 7 nations have not been included in the ban because they just happen to have Trump properties, hotels, and various other
Of
things.
the 7, Mark,
in
that
their
he's banned, not one of them has ever been convicted. Nobody of that nationality has been convicted of a terrorist attack on American soil or suspected of one.
Well, also, George Galloway was on Talk Radio earlier tonight saying that during the 8 years that Barack Obama was in charge in the White House, he bombed these 7 countries about every 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to get too political because it could be here all night. And
we are.
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, you guys are. The people here who were Trump supporters, I'm sure still are. They were vocal leading up to the election. They're very quiet now.
Yeah, I know. It's a weird old situation,
It's
isn't
very
it?
bizarre. We will talk some more about it, I'm sure, throughout the rest of the week. But let's not do that here, because what I want to ask you about is that magnificent game of tennis that we all saw at the weekend between Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal. I mean, what a game that was.
I think we've been speaking before, and I think the 3 of us agreed that it was highly unlikely Roger Federer would ever win another Grand Slam.
Yeah.
And even when Murray went out, and even when Djokovic went out, you're thinking to yourself, you'd love to see a Nadal-Federer final, but it's probably not going to happen because he's got Wawrinka, he's got Nishikori, and then he'd probably have Nadal to get through as well. I just think it's phenomenal. And do you know what? On the weekend where we've been talking about Premier League teams and teams at the top of the Championship not really giving two hoots about the FA Cup, for me, for a guy who's won 17 Grand Slams, to see at the end what it meant to him, that kind of restored some of your faith in sport, and that no matter what you've achieved in sport, he probably thinks deep down that's going to be his last Grand Slam. He probably thought deep down he wasn't going to get that Grand Slam as well. So for him to react like that, and then the speeches afterwards, that for me is what sport was all about.
Well, Mark, every time Schumacher won another Grand Prix, and he'd already established a record that would never be beaten, the smile on his face, the beaming smile of smugness, really, and self-satisfaction.
Smugness? I didn't detect that.
Yeah, but pride, personal pride at winning again, I was always amazed that he didn't start taking it for granted, But he didn't. Every time he won, it was another major victory for him in his head, better than the last.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, Porky, as well, because you've got, say, teams that win a lot. Manchester United, who won a lot, who won the league, and you kind of take it for granted. I mean, it's the same with Rangers fans in Scotland as well. When they were winning leagues as well, you kind of take it for granted. And then, obviously, Rangers didn't win the Scottish Cup, but if they had, then you would have had that success. You would have had that period of kind of, oh, yeah, we'd taken this for granted at the time, and you appreciate it more. Yeah. And I think Man United fans as well, I'm sure they'll win another league. I don't know how long it's going to be. Yeah. But you take it for granted when something like that happens. Of course you do. Okay, and I think you're spot on.
Mind you, Brendan Rodgers doesn't take anything for granted, does he? Because he's always reminding everyone how brilliant he is whenever they reach another milestone, as they did against your mob the other day.
Honestly, Mark, it was incredible. First of all, he started comparing them to the Lisbon Lions.
No, he said other people were.
Yeah,
it wasn't him that was doing it.
Such a privilege to be compared to the Lisbon Lions. And then the very next day, he went on about, so many managers have been at this club trying to achieve this record, and it's incredible that we've now done it. And it's always the royal we. What he means is me, not we. If you see what I mean.
Well, look, you can only beat what's in front of you, and unfortunately for
there's nothing in front of them.
Football, there is nothing in front of Celtic. But Celtic have still got to go and do that. Yeah. Still got to stay focused. Yeah. And by the way, I know there's talk about €40 million bids for Dembele.
That's rubbish.
He's going to go. He is going to go. I don't think he'll go during the transfer window. I think that shuts in less than 24 hours or whatever. I think he'll stay. But Celtic bought him because they could for a fee of $500,000, and that was because it was a cross-border transfer. The info that I got was that the reason it was done was because the agents who did it got a nice big bounty, which is fine. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Celtic got a player on the cheap, but the agents got the big bounty, and they did the deal. As far as if they do the next deal, they would have to be the ones that did that deal for him to go to wherever. I don't think he'll end up at Chelsea this time. No. I don't know where he's going to end up at. But, I mean, look, what I'm saying is if they get $25 million, for example, that's the fee that's been quoted in France. If they get $25 million, what's that going to do to Scottish football?
Well, it's a remarkable situation. It was all about the under-23 rule, wasn't it, that Dembele was allowed to leave Fulham and go to Celtic. But... what somebody pointed out to me tonight was Dembele's only ever proved himself in the Championship or the Scottish League. So any Premier League club who's thinking of paying £40 million for a kid, and by the way, his scoring record's not that great, 20 in 38 games.
He's missed quite a few as well.
Yeah. So
he's a decent player.
A decent player, I agree.
It's a win-win for both. Celtic got him on the cheap, and they're going to make a fortune from him. The agents did the deal, so they got paid when he signed for Celtic, and they'll get big pay when he signs for someone in England as well. Yeah. But you are taking a chance. But look, as far as you're talking about Brendan Rodgers, what I would say from a Celtic perspective as well, they bring over guys, and some of them it doesn't work, but they bring over guys like Virgil van Dijk and other guys like that, and then they see the sell-on clause that they've inserted. They get a percentage. They don't want to be the kind of club that is the club before the club, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So if Virgil van Dijk leaves for 40, 50 million, they'll end up with a 5 million, for example, a 10%. They think that the player they're selling is worth the big bucks. And do you know what? If they can get the money, good on them. They won't get 40 million for Dembele, but if they can get half of that, what a deal that would be.
It would be.
Absolutely right. Now, a massive weekend we just had of FA Cup action, but nice to have some Premier League stuff to look at during the week as well. We've got big games coming up tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, it's all over for Liverpool if they lose to Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange the way that the January has gone. A big decision for the coach Jurgen Klopp. Does he put Sadio Mane in from the start? Not sure he will. I think he might be someone that can make an impact off the bench. I think it's a big one for Swansea as well. If they can follow up a win at Anfield with a win against Southampton as well. And by the way, if you fancy a bet, Burnley are 2-1 at home, where I think they only lost 3 times in 2016 against Leicester, who are in free fall. That's a big price.
Yeah, and they've got 24 out of the 25 points this season come from their home games.
Exactly.
They've only got 1
they're
point.
They're terrible on the road.
Terrible
They're
on
pretty
the
good
road,
at home.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see Swansea maybe is still getting out of what's below them, because when you look at Hull and Sunderland, they look absolutely, utterly doomed, don't they?
Yeah.
They do. Sunderland are a bit of a gang right now, and I would expect Spurs to win. I tell you what, if you're looking at odds and you're looking at possible upsets, West Ham 5-1 to beat Man City.
Yeah.
You just don't know what Man City team you're going to get on Wednesday.
West Ham are 10th now. Nobody would have believed that 6 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, so, so they are
All
moving.
they've got to do is keep lobbing it up to the goalkeeper, haven't they? And they're about to score a couple of goals.
I think you're right. I think that could well
By
be
the
it.
way, just a quick one about Arsenal. I mean, they're big favourites at home to Watford. There was a piece written on the ESPN FC website today saying Arsenal are a better team without Olivier Giroud leading the line. I have a tendency to agree with that as well. I just think you get better from Sanchez. You've got Welbeck coming back. You've got Walcott coming back. I think you'll start with Giroud, Arsenal against Watford. But going forward, I'd be surprised if Giroud starts every game going forward, unless he gets a hat-trick against Watford.
Yeah, no,
absolutely right.
Totally
now,
agree.
we can't not mention, because even though Mike Parry will complain and moan and groan, Sunday is, of course, the Super Bowl in Houston.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So, you're gonna have to grin and bear
Going to
it.
the pictures, actually.
We're going to be talking a lot. Well, you'll be in bed, won't you? 'Cause it kicks off about midnight.
Yeah, I will be, actually, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, you won't last that long.
I tell you what, in Fleet Street, Mark, you see all these, would-be American sports fans come to work on the Monday morning, oh, I'm really knackered, I stayed all night watching Super Bowl. Oh, did you have a nice time? Yeah, we had Budweiser beer and hamburgers all night. What a load.
Who told you this?
What a load of dopes.
Who told you this?
Hey?
Who told you
A
this?
former colleague of ours.
Oh, what? Is that the same former colleague that used to stand in Elvino's, or was it somebody you actually worked with?
No, David Richardson, the foreign editor, who thought that because he was foreign editor, I better pretend to take an interest in American sport.
He wasn't the sharpest tool in
He
the
wasn't
box,
the sharpest tool in the box, it's true.
Yeah, terrible story, I'll tell you about him later on. But anyway, Mark, what's the line looking like on this game?
The Patriots are going to be favourites for this one, slight, maybe by 4 points, 3-4 points.
Yeah.
It's live on BBC One. If you want to stay up, Porky, I'm sure you'll be interested.
Who's
in
doing
that.
the half time?
Well, as long as I have a couple of bottles of Pinot, to cloud the pain.
You've normally had a couple of those by 6 o'clock.
Well, that's
Maybe
true.
It lasts till midnight.
Yeah, that is true.
What about?
You'll get to see Lady Gaga at half time.
Lady Gaga.
Is she doing half time show? Is she okay?
She is, yes.
Well,
Yes,
it's always
so-
it's always a great spectacle. I'll certainly be watching it, so I should look forward to that. Listen, Mark, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Mark.
Stay safe in the world of Trump.
Stay
because,
sober.
Of course, things are different nowadays in America.
That's right, yeah.
I have to tell you about my impending trip there as well, because I might not go now.
Well,
it's going to be so complicated.
all sorts of
getting in and out.
problems.
Absolute nightmare.
All sorts of
anyway,
problems.
we've got loads more coming up. Steve Lillywhite's going to talk to us about Liverpool-Chelsea in the next hour. We've got heroes and villains as well. This is TalkSport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Some great tweets coming in. Again, some of them I can't read out quite in their entirety. But here's one
Well,
from...
you can edit them down so we get a flavour of the way people are thinking.
That's what I'm trying to do. Here's one from Nigel who says, what does Mike Parry know about art? He's only one kind of artist and it doesn't involve painting.
Oh, that's very original, isn't it? Thank you very much indeed, OK? And, if you want to stop listening to this show, then I'm not going to object.
OK, fine. How about this one from Look at the Light? He says, maybe Paul can get his mate Uri Geller to bend the painting's face back in place whilst exercising George Best's ghost.
Well, I see what you're doing, putting all those things together. The point is, anybody who looks at this and they've got a normal, rational mind and they've got 20/20 vision will see it was an attempt by Picasso to be particularly vulgar whilst painting what he says is, just a normal appreciative picture of his then mistress.
Marino says this, Cubist gets its first mention on the two mics. That's not true, actually. I mentioned Cubism before.
Have you?
We have. Another person has sent in a tweet earlier saying that Porky thinks Cubism is a racist term for being nasty about Cuban people, which, of course, is not true.
Now, there's one here. I'm not sure what this means. Is there such a thing as a panicular railway?
No.
That's
What do you mean you're not sure what it means?
Panicular railway?
Well, have you heard of a funicular railway?
No.
You haven't heard of a funicular railway?
No, what is a funicular railway?
Your family live in Bournemouth.
Yes.
You ever been to Blackgang Shine?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you know the thing that goes up and
cabin
down
that
the
goes
cliff?
up and down the cliff,
Well,
yeah.
it's not a cabin, it's a funicular railway.
Well, it's like a cabin. And
it was
by the way,
invented during your favourite time of history.
the Victorian times. Yes, that's good.
Yeah, when women weren't allowed to show their legs or ankles on the beach and they had to be carried into the sea.
There was a bit of modesty around in those days.
So, of course, you don't mind naked women on the beach now, do you, as you revealed last week?
What?
Especially if they look like Nigella Lawson.
Well, you
did say that.
Listen, I was going to say to you, by the way, you know how valuable beach huts are?
Oh, yeah, I know.
It came to me over the weekend that Boscombe, which is in fact next door to Bournemouth.
Boscombe?
Yeah, Boscombe. It's a beach.
It's not Boscombe.
Yeah, we call it Boscombe down there on the coast.
No, you don't. That's absolute rubbish. You call it Boscombe.
And that's attached to the coast, okay?
What do you mean attached to the coast?
It's attached to Bournemouth on the coast, that's what I meant. I mean, it's the next one along.
Well, it can't be attached to the coast.
Well, it's a neighbourhood of Bournemouth, basically, okay?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of separate, but it's not. It's all one long beach, all right?
Okay.
Anyway, believe it or not, guess what they're doing?
What are they doing? Not building another secret artificial wave plan, are they?
For £1 million that doesn't work. No, I hope not, no. But some of my people who are down there spotted last week.
Some of your people?
Yeah, some of my people,
members of your family?
Maybe members of my family. I have friends there as well.
Do you?
And what happened
That's
was, they walked along the beach when this huge crane arrived and a flat back lorry and started lifting new beach huts onto the shoreline.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
And the reason is there's a huge demand for these things.
Is, yeah.
And you know, if you go further around the coast to Studland and places like that.
Oh, forget it.
Oh, they cost hundreds of thousands of pounds, literally.
Well, I mean, even down in Hastings, which is relatively untrendy compared to that part of the world.
That's right, yeah.
You know, there's a whole load of them. You can go all the way from Bexhill to Eastbourne and all that.
That's right.
And I mean, the minimum, I think, is about 50 grand. But a lot of them,
unbelievable.
A lot of them you can't even buy.
No, you can't
can only rent them.
This is the whole point.
You can only rent them.
This is the whole point. You can only rent them. So what they've done is they've installed, in fact, they told me they'd counted 8, actually, by the time the week had come to an end. And what they're doing is they, unlike the traditional beach huts, which don't even have electricity, don't have running water, don't have anything, they just have this incredible view.
And it's really just a garden shed, to be honest.
Well, yeah, you just take your little primer stove, literally, to make your tea and go sell a bottle of wine in a flask, you know, in a cold bucket or something like that. But anyway, what they've done is these beach huts at Boscombe have been purpose made by the council. Showers, toilets, can sleep up to 6, but will cost you £200 a night.
Oh, so this is actually not so much a beach hut as, in fact, a dwelling for the night.
I mean, they look
more like a log cabin, no?
Well, they look like beach huts. They're designed to look like beach huts.
They must be massive, though.
I'll show you a picture.
Have they got windows in?
I'll show you a picture. One side of them is windows, so you get a fantastic view.
It looks a little bit like the sort of, you know, the extra room you can put on in your garden now.
Yeah, it does.
It's almost like a, you know, sort of mini conservatory.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a conservatory. But
mind you, it doesn't look like you sleep 6 people in that.
Well, it'll be
very cosy.
Yeah, it'll be one of these sort of fold-down couches and all that kind of stuff, won't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The sort of thing you get in one of these motorhomes you were driving around in
exactly.
Like the couchettes in France, you know, in the old days when you used to go from France to Switzerland in a couchette.
Is that what you used to do?
Yeah.
When did you go from France to Switzerland in a couchette?
On the school skiing trip. no, it's amazing.
Why do you go on a coach?
No, you go on a train.
Really?
You get the train down to Dover, and then you go over to Calais,
right?
And then you get on this train.
Well, it's like a sleeper, isn't it?
Well, it's like a 6-person compartment when you get in there.
You fold down the luggage rack and you sleep in that, basically.
That's exactly it. And you're smuggling all the booze in, you know, when you're 14. Right?
14?
Yeah, definitely, to try and get completely bladderated, you know.
Of course, that's not what you would recommend for 14-year-olds now.
I certainly would not, no. You know, on like half a bottle of beer or something like that.
Actually, some more terrible news for you on the death of the great British culture, right? I'm not going to tell you which one of my sons, but at one of their schools, right, as a response to parents' worries about healthy eating, they're doing away with the morning bacon roll.
Really?
They're not allowed to buy them anymore.
Good God.
Isn't that ridiculous?
It is ridiculous. I'd send my child to school with 2 bacon rolls.
And guess what they're replacing it with? No, this is because they've got a little canteen because some parents drop their kids off early.
I see.
Because, you know, they go to work or whatever it is, and so you can get breakfast.
Yes.
So now they're not going to have bacon rolls anymore.
I bet it's replaced with hummus.
They're going to replace it with a salad bar.
A salad bar. Yeah. Kids hate salad bars.
It's an outrage.
Well,
I'm outraged.
They feel so hungry when they've eaten a bit of salad. Yeah, children need like proper food to warm them up.
But people are actually walking around saying bacon is bad for you. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is outrageous. I totally agree.
Anyway, sorry,
outrageous.
I digress from your couchette story.
Yeah, the couchette. So you get on, and then you're sitting in there, and then
how much were you drinking when you were 14?
Oh, I don't know, a couple of bottles of beer or something, I suppose. But, you know, a bottle of beer would take, like, 2 hours or something like that. Yeah, I used to sort of sip
mind you, I say that. I started drinking when I was 14. Yeah. That's because I worked in the bakery.
Well, exactly.
And that
That's
guy
right.
used to drink round the clock.
That's right. You were telling me, yeah. So, but anyway, when it started getting dark, then some bloke come down, with his hat on, and like
your ticket inspector.
Well, no, he looked like a bloke from the French Foreign Legion. You know what I mean, with his épée. You know what I mean, and and he come in and say,
you could have asked him about La Rêve.
La Rêve, I could, yeah, and then he would say, chambre, well. Chambre, you had to turn it into the bedroom, the chamber.
What if you didn't want to?
Eh?
What if you didn't want to?
Well, you did, didn't you? You did what you told in those days.
Have you ever been on a sleeper, by the way, in this country?
No, but you told me that terrible story where you woke up with your face at the same level.
The guy cleaning his teeth.
Oh, God, yeah.
Awful.
Awful. But
I had a very different version. I mean, I just in my head, I thought it would be much more kind of,
sophisticated. Yeah. Guess who was in charge of the school skiing trip to?
And not Mr. What was his name?
Mr. Clamp.
Mr. Clamp.
Tom Clamp. Tom Clamp, the PE teacher, who used to wear.
Did he have his own couchette?
Well, yeah, he would have had the teacher's couchette, so to speak.
Yeah, but did they have mixed teachers, or was it just men?
No,
teachers?
It was just men because it was an all-male school, just men. But we had an unfortunate experience once because there was this knock on the door, Tom Clamp's couchette, and then what happened was one of our mates, right? He'd somehow got hold of a bottle of vodka or something, and
somehow, he stole it.
Well, I don't know, but he was so ill that we thought he was dying.
Right.
So what we did is we told him to crawl into the corridor, and then we led him like a dog up to Tom Clamp's couchette,
right.
And then we knocked on the door and all ran
just
away.
Shoved him in.
Well, no, we ran away. And as Tom, what's going on here? Hey, you, what's wrong with you?
Do you ever do that thing where you put talcum powder into an album cover?
What do you do that for?
You put it under somebody's door and you jump on it. You never did that?
No, what's that?
Well, it means that the entire room gets covered in talcum powder.
No, what do you mean, an album cover?
Well, like an album cover, right?
For a record?
Yeah, for a record, yeah.
Yeah, you put it in.
You take the record out, right?
Yes, yeah.
So you've just got a sleeve, effectively.
Yes.
You fill it with talcum powder, and you squish the open side underneath the door.
Yeah.
And you keep the other rest of it outside.
Right.
And you jump on it, and it sprays talcum powder all over the inside of the room.
What a ridiculous thing to do. What would you want to do that for?
I can't remember why I did it. It was in a hotel in Bristol.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
were you an adult when this happened?
Yeah, I got into a fight with my sister's then boyfriend.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I can't remember why, but I mean,
where did you learn this trick?
I can't remember who told me it. No,
really?
I think it was at university.
Ridiculous, honestly.
I ended up firing the fire extinguisher at him.
Oh, well, that's you see, that's arrestable territory.
Well,
that is.
funnily enough, it was a very drunken affair. It was a very long time ago.
Yeah,
I think I was about 22, 23.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And in the morning, the guy, it was in some hotel in Bristol, the guy said, this is very serious, we're going to have to charge you for damage to the hotel.
Like talcum powder damage?
Well, it was just all, it was all a bit of a mess. I mean, there was loads of people at this wedding.
Yes.
And I said, well, how much will that be? And he said, £50.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very reasonable.
Yeah, I did as well. For wrecking a hotel
charged
bedroom.
about 4 of us £50 each, and we went.
And off you go, yeah.
Shocking story, really.
Very good.
Anyway, listen, I've got lots more to talk to you about.
Yeah, we certainly have.
Because I've got some up-to-date sort of evolutionary news for you.
Right, I'd like to hear about that.
Apparently they've discovered humanity's earliest known ancestor. But they're describing it as looking like a wrinkled old sack.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is Talk Sport.
Interesting.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Ask Porky coming up tomorrow, of course. There'll be another edition of Postman Pork, I guess, before the end of the week. A lot of people very sort of full of praise for that.
People love Postman Pork.
We did it Thursday into Friday. So do you want to give them the address in case they want to send you an email?
Yes, please do, because, there is a chance we'll expand that slot because we get so much. There is a chance we'll expand it. Well, to more than just 10 minutes.
No, I don't think so.
No, we might, because, we...
Why don't you just do the whole show on your own?
No, we react to demand from our listeners. Anyway, send me whatever you like in writing. It's the old-fashioned way, but it's the best way, okay?
Don't take that literally, by the way.
Don't take that literally.
Do not send anything you like.
No, not anything you like, but,
send correspondence,
It's got to be interesting, informative.
And anything that Talk you would like as a gift.
And, no, I'm not into
Well, you seem to open a lot of gifts last week.
Well, I can't help people if they want to send me gifts. But anyway, the address is, of course, it's Postman Pork at Talk Sport, which is 18 Hatfields, London, SE1 8DJ. And you can remember that easy. SE1 and then 8DJ. DJs being the people who work with us, our colleagues from Virgin, on the ground floor of TalkSport Towers.
Derek in Pencoed has been on.
Pencoed?
He hasn't sent you anything for Postman Port. Maybe he will.
Yeah.
He says, Porky said it will be all over for Liverpool if they lose to Chelsea tonight, just like it's been all over for Everton for months.
Well, Everton are rebuilding
And he says
phase.
he's been a
We've won
fan
4 of the last 5.
He's been a fan of Liverpool for 46 years. Leon says, Porky, what's going on with Moyes? He only seems to buy ex-players. What is going on with Moyes?
Well, I feel so sorry for David, who's a great guy. And it seems to me that he's been so restricted in his budget. Although I did hear today they were considering buying somebody for 12 million
but
quid.
hang on, he wasn't restricting his budget when he went to Manchester United, and the only players he wanted were Leighton Baines and Marianne Fellaini.
No, they weren't. The players he wanted, he couldn't get. The only players he ended up with were Marianne Fellaini.
Well, he couldn't get Leighton Baines either, could he? In the end.
Well, in the end, Leighton didn't go. I
what
totally
I'm saying
agree.
is that there is a pattern that he only seems to target players that have played for him before.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I mean, he was after some of Europe's best players, and he's spoken about it at some length now, and said the reasons why he couldn't get it was because he didn't feel he had enough support from the people at the club who were empowered to make the deals work and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's in a really hapless situation now. I would imagine it'll be a one-season wonder, won't it? Because I think Sunderland they seem as though they can't avoid relegation.
Doesn't look like
it. And why would David want to go down with them and then, go through the absolutely tortuous job of trying to get them back?
And as things turn bad, and I mean, obviously we're entering the period of the last 24 hours of the transfer window.
Yes.
I mean, is there a chance that Jermaine Defoe could leave, do you think? In which case, they'd definitely be doomed, wouldn't they?
Who would buy him now? Because West Ham have plugged their problem, haven't they, with Snodgrass.
Yeah.
So who would buy Jermaine Defoe now?
Lots of people might want him. It's
sure.
It's a question of whether they would let him go, really.
Yeah.
How about this from Rob, who says, wrinkled old sack, is that another part of the Picasso painting?
No, I didn't
see that part.
No, you were going to tell me about this, weren't you?
Yes, I was. But before I do that, we've got a couple of little bits of administration to do, because one of our good friends, Julia, has a birthday. She actually had it yesterday. And so Ian, her husband, and these two have come and seen us in probably as many shows as anybody.
Yes.
Live shows. It would have to be, I would say, up to maybe 8 or 9, I think
maybe.
they've seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, could you please wish Julia a happy birthday on tonight's show from Ian, Lennon and Lola. That's their 2 kids. And that's if she hasn't already asked for it herself.
From who? Ian?
Ian is Julia's husband, Lennon and Lola.
Did they name that boy Lennon?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Lola, because so did my great friend Liam Gallagher. Named his son Lennon.
Well, he's a big Oasis fan, is he?
Yeah,
so maybe he named him after his kid.
And Lola, of course, was a song written by Ray Davies.
And the Kinks.
Lola. Yeah. Alole, Lola.
And if you want to see my great rendition of the Oasis song that I'd sang at karaoke in Liverpool, I can put that out again.
No, I'm not bothered. But anyway, listen, I haven't
he was
formally...
with me that night.
Of course he was. Yeah, I haven't formally wished Julia a happy birthday. Julia, very happy birthday, my dear. And thank you for being such a loyal supporter and follower of the 2 mics. And as a result of that, I will sing the first 2 lines of Happy Birthday to you, okay?
Go on, then.
Happy birthday to
that's enough.
you.
That's enough.
That's
enough.
Happy birthday.
Why are you singing it like Marilyn Monroe?
To you. Happy birthday, dear Julia. Happy birthday to you.
Right, thank you. How about this from Jason? Can you wish my girlfriend Sue a happy 50th? We are on holiday in Vegas celebrating, and we've been to the Grand Canyon, I think he said.
Okay. I hope you didn't walk there. It was a flight.
I actually walked down the Grand Canyon.
Did you? I didn't. I've never done that.
You've been to the Grand Canyon today. Thanks.
Sorry, what's the name?
Sue.
Right, Sue. Very happy 50th, my dear. Life starts here and all that. And if you're in Vegas, hope you're staying at one of their rather nice hotel casinos.
Maybe you'll see Steve Wynn while you're
Maybe see Steve Wynn, yeah. I mean, that is the hotel to stay in, isn't it? Wynn's on the Strip.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been to Vegas for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But I went on one of the few school trips abroad that I went on when I was 15.
Yeah.
We went to the sort of west side of America, basically. Flew to Detroit and then drove in 2 cars, 2 big station wagons. Went to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And walked down it.
Really?
Yeah. And we had to take salt tablets and like sort of stupid English schoolboys do. Guess what we did when we got to the bottom of it? Because there's sort of 2 levels.
Came back again, I suppose.
No, we had a game of football.
A game of football?
We had a game of football.
You had a football with you?
We brought a football with us.
We played football in the Grand Canyon.
We always had a football. It was about 120 degrees.
Yeah, I bet it was.
We nearly died.
Yeah, I know.
It was shocking.
I've got to go to... tell you what's worrying me. I've got to go to I haven't got to. I want to go to a wedding in Greece.
Oh, yeah?
In June.
Who for?
A friend of mine. And
a friend of yours is getting married?
Yeah. And it's...
I know what's going to come next, then.
What?
Well, we know what happens when you get around married women.
The friend is actually a female.
Yes, I understand
She's
that.
getting married,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, how does that change anything?
Well, because she's a friend.
I presume you were friends with all the other married women that you got.
No. She's been a friend of mine for 20 years, for goodness sake. And,
but she's never been married, has she?
Yes, she has actually.
Has she?
Yes,
Has she been married before?
Yes, that's right. Yes,
right.
yeah. So I'm.
How long for?
A bit worried about. Quite a few years.
Really?
So I'm a bit worried about it really because it's going to be very hot.
When is this going to be?
It's in June.
In June?
Yeah, and it's on one of these...
Oh, you're going to be able to do what you did in Mallorca and come out for the day?
I think so, yeah. And it's on one of these Greek islands. Now, the Greek islands are actually hotter than Greece itself, aren't they?
Well, it depends, I think, exactly where you are.
Yes.
But, I mean, the problem is they're quite difficult. I mean, they're not as easy to get to as
Mallorca. You
Mallorca.
can fly directly from Heathrow.
What, to the actual island?
Yes.
Oh, well, it's not a small island then.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I've got...
Which island is it?
Let me find out, because...
Because quite often what you have to do...
Yeah.
Because my daughter went to a very small Greek island last year.
Okay.
And she flew to Athens,
Yeah,
right?
I
and then
see.
she got what was called the fast boat.
Yes.
Which was a bit like the one that goes up and down the Thames, you know?
Yes.
It was like a catamaran.
Yes.
And you could only sit inside. But it was 4 hours.
4 hours, blimey.
On a
right.
boat.
Here, I've got a detail of it. Let me see.
What's the name of the
have a
island?
look.
Is it Rhodes?
What?
Is it Rhodes?
Rhodes? Is it Rhodes?
Is it Crete? Is it Corfu?
Is it Corfu? I'm trying to find it here.
You don't seem to have any idea.
Wait a minute. Let me see what else I've got here. Hang on.
Do you want me to tell you about the wrinkled old sack? While you look it
go
up?
on. Yeah, go on.
The wrinkled old sack, right, is something which has been discovered by scientists. It's
Yes.
the world's earliest known ancestor to humanity, apparently.
Right.
However, it is only basically 1 millimetre in size.
Right.
Okay. And it lived in the seabed. Right? And this apparently is going to be described as the description of humanity's earliest known evolutionary ancestor.
Well, like a sort of giant amoeba.
Yeah, but not a very small one. 1 millimetre.
Oh, right, okay.
But the name of it is Saccharitis coronarius.
God, how boring is
A
that?
microscopic animal which spent its life wriggling around on the ocean floor.
Yeah, God.
Guess who's made this discovery?
No, I've no idea.
University of Cambridge researchers.
University of Cambridge
In
researchers.
China.
Yeah, but in China. But I prefer to think of our ancestors as cavemen. I love the culture of the
Yeah,
caveman,
well, that's all
don't you?
fine. Yeah, but that's all fine. But we're going back beyond that, right?
I know,
Because
but-
this now says,
Yeah.
because of this research, we can now trace humanity back a further 30 million years.
Yeah, but that's infinitesimal. You see, I don't regard that as the start of civilization. For me, the start of civilization is the caveman, because he learned...
No, that's ridiculous.
He learned how to build a fire and keep away the the beasts.
Well, Simon Conway Morris, who knows a bit more about this than you do, who's a professor of evolutionary paleobiology, he says, to the naked eye, the fossils we study look like tiny black grains, but under the microscope, the level of detail is jaw-dropping.
Oh, really?
All deuterostomes had a common ancestor, and we think that this is what we are looking at here. It's very exciting.
Yeah, well, you think it's exciting. I don't think it's too exciting.
All right.
Now then, can I tell you the name of this island?
Yeah, go on. You found it yet?
Yes, I have. It's Santorini.
Oh, Santorini, yeah.
Santorini.
Very nice place, apparently.
Is it?
I've heard a lot about Santorini.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So you can fly straight to Santorini, are you sure?
yeah, I'm certain. It says multiple airlines fly to Santorini direct from England. The best airline is BA from Heathrow.
Okay.
But EasyJet have flights from London Gatwick. So I'll probably go on BA and get a club seat or something, business seat.
Yeah,
or
but you
something.
can't really do that very easily, can you? Maybe you'll meet
mean?
somebody on the way back, like you did when you went to Mallorca.
It could well be. But anyway, so that's all got to be sorted out, mate. So this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yes.
what airports to fly into for Santorini? It says here, if you're flying into Athens but do not intend to spend any time in the city, it's easy to hop on a flight direct to Santorini and save yourself the trouble of getting from Athens airport to Piraeus for a ferry.
What does that say, sorry?
It said it's better to fly direct to Santorini rather than
Yes,
go
that's
via
what I
Athens.
mean. Yeah. How long's the ferry from Athens?
No, well, it's probably a few hours.
Oh, I see. Right. Well,
International flights to Santorini usually connect via Athens, but some charter airlines run cheap flights to Santorini.
No. It says here multiple airlines fly to Santorini direct. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to sort that out anyway. Yeah.
Oh, well, you don't forget
Yeah.
to let me know when you're going.
What?
Don't forget to let me know when you're going.
Yes, I will.
Are you going to be missing a few shows then?
Well, I'm not sure really. I'm not sure exact dates, but I'll find out.
All right.
Yeah. Most people get married at weekends, don't they?
Generally speaking.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
But it might be one of those long sort of week things where you have to go for a few days.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
You're not giving her away or anything, are you?
No, I'm not. No,
God
but
for that.
I am a favoured guest.
Are
That's,
you?
that's for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, Steve Lillywhite's coming up. He's a favoured guest of ours.
Excellent.
He's coming up next.
We can't wait till tomorrow. You gotta know that this is real, baby. Why you wanna fight it? It's the one thing you can't choose.
like that song, Porky?
Yeah, great song.
That's The Killers.
The Killers. Yeah.
Produced by one Steve Lillywhite.
Well, I would imagine stuff of that quality would have to be produced by somebody who knows what he's doing.
Well, I've just referred to him on Twitter as super producer Steve Lillywhite.
Super producer, I like that.
I've called him before, but let's talk to him. Steve, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you two, boys. Good morning, and yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah,
very well indeed.
Very
thank
well.
you.
Actually, slightly enlivened by the Killers there, because sometimes at this time of the morning you need a bit of perking up, and that's definitely done the trick.
Yeah, they're a great band, aren't they?
They really are.
Probably my favourite album of theirs is still their first one with Mr. Brightside and all those. But no, they're great, and we love good bands. God, there aren't that many great bands.
No, well, that's the thing.
Starting out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I remember one New Year's Eve I was working, and we're very close to the river where they sent the fireworks off from. And the Killers were playing were playing that night, on the river, and the TalkSport Tower's roof was close enough to be able to hear them, and it was tremendous, absolutely great.
Oh, fantastic. No, but you remember in the early 80s, there were so many great bands around. It didn't matter actually if you didn't really like Simply Red, but you could appreciate that they were different to sort of Simple Minds or U2, or you had the Specials and all those wonderful, there were so many great different sounding bands. I was listening to Madness a bit recently. Yeah. Wow, what a great
haven't they got a new album out?
I think they've been touring Madness, yeah.
I think they've got a new album out because I read something about Suggs over the weekend, talking about the 40 years in business and all that.
Yeah. I saw Suggs on the telly over the week on Sky News talking about the closing down of so many different venues.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those iconic pubs that bands used to do their formative playing are now being turned into office, into residential places.
Well, no, what's interesting as well is when we do our little tours, and we did one last year, and we go to places like the O2 Academy in Liverpool, right? An awful lot of the acts that are playing in these places, many of them are sort of original, genuine acts, but a lot of them are tribute bands who actually have got such a following because there's so few of these kinds of bands around anymore.
Yeah, you're right. It's and some of them have got some spectacular names, I think, haven't they? I'm trying to remember some of these very good plays on words.
Well, I played with
would love that.
I played with the Rolling Clones, Steve, who were the Rolling Stones tribute band. No, and the lead singer Mick Jagger was brilliant. He honestly, I'm not joking. He was better than Jagger himself. He really was. He was outstanding.
Oh, that is fantastic.
And talking about pop legends, music legends, Phil Collins' birthday yesterday. Steve, did you ever work with him?
Oh, yes, I did. I didn't. I worked on a Peter Gabriel album in 1980 that he
drummed on, presumably.
Came and played the drums on.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the guy is a brilliant drummer. And this is my theory. There are many great drummers, but to be able to be Ringo is just as difficult as being able to be the fancy player, And Phil Collins can be Ringo. Do you know what I mean by
Yes, I do, yeah. He
can be really, really simple.
Fantastic range of talent, that's right. Anyway, you'll be more concerned this week, I should imagine, about whether or not Chelsea can take another step in clinching a Premier League title, because believe it or not, we're at the end of January now, so we're getting into the last third of the season.
Yeah. I think the double is very much on for Chelsea. I think away to Wolves in the FA Cup, not going to be easy considering they beat Liverpool at home. But no, in the league, I think Chelsea have got the two difficult games, although up until 2 weeks ago they were difficult. I think tomorrow's a banker now, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, I think so. And I have to say, Mr. Porky, every time Everton play, I always think about you now.
It's very kind of you.
That's a terrible, terrible affliction that he's put on you.
No, that's very kind of you.
I try not to think about him as often as possible.
Look, Mr. Graham never gets off the bloody fence on anything. At least
that's not true.
Exactly.
It's an outrageous slur.
No, he doesn't. I agree. I totally agree with you.
It's absolutely not true at all. I've been predicting Millwall's wins, both wins in the FA Cup.
Yeah,
I predicted they would not be leaving the den, right? I also got my treble right at the weekend. I backed Lincoln City, Spurs and Millwall.
Oh, well,
got all of those.
Pretty easy.
Oh, my God.
You know,
it was pretty easy.
You're not listening enough, Steve.
Mike?
It's got to be said.
Yeah, the thing...
No. But Mike, what odds did you get on Lincoln, Spurs and
I think
Millwall?
it was 19-1.
Yeah, that was so predictable. I went for the bigger ones. I got Sutton to beat Leeds, Steve, so that's...
but you got it all wrong, though.
I certainly did not. Old Mike Graham's got so many splinters in his Harris that I'm surprised he can sit down and do this show with me, honestly.
I don't know whether you've had a chance, Steve, to have a look at Porky's art appreciation this morning, because he's been drawing my attention to a Picasso, La Rêve, which is a famous painting in which he's apparently spotted, what did you call it?
Well, there's a penicle structure sticking out of the woman's head.
Penis sticking out of the woman's head.
And, old Mike Graham's trying to say, no, that's just a very artistic way of painting a woman's face.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's Picasso's attempt to make it an erotic, almost pornographic depiction of a young woman who he was, Rogerising at the time. I think that's perfectly clear to anybody who thinks straight.
Look, boys, this is what makes great art, is that you don't necessarily know exactly what it is, and it gets people discussing it.
Exactly.
We know Picasso was one of the greatest there ever was. We also know the other side of his life as well.
Yeah.
And he certainly enjoyed himself, and he had fun with his art. He did so many. If you count how many pieces Picasso drew, as well as the ceramics and all the other things he's done, which he was brilliant at, I think it worked out something like 2 or 3 every day of his life.
Yeah, amazing.
The guy was so prolific. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Picasso.
I think it's all rubbish. I think he was the biggest con man in history. I think he managed to convince everybody that it was all brilliant art. Well, I mean, these days...
You don't think there were bigger con men in history than Picasso?
Well, these days, Steve, as I'm sure you're aware, you're much closer to the artistic world than I am, but people are now asking things like, the guy who went round cutting sheep in half and putting them in formaldehyde? Damien Hirst. People are now actually questioning and saying, hang on, was Damien Hirst just having a joke?
But he did exactly what Steve's been describing. He got people talking.
Yeah, but was he just having a joke? Was he just winding us all up? I mean,
he was making a lot of money.
Was it Tracy Emin with her unmade bed?
That's right.
I mean, she must have thought, do you know what? I'm going to prove how stupid people are. She must have done. Because anybody could have done that.
It was Charles Saatchi who was even allowing us to have these conversations, because he was the guy who was promoting all these people.
That's right.
He also created the market for it, because at one time he was the only guy buying it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the trouble is, Porky's a bit of a Philistine when it comes right down to it, Steve. There's no way that he could actually accept that anything out there is questionable or debatable. It's either right or wrong, black or white. He's only got 2 speeds.
That is not true at all.
I see.
Steve, what do you think about...
I have a theory.
Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go on.
I was just about to say, how is this about, fake news? Was it actually invented by British tabloid press? Because certainly when I started going to the States in the 80s, there was fake news, but it was all like it was silly fake news, like the National Enquirer.
Oh, yeah, like the Weekly World News and all that, yeah.
Yeah. They were very much separated. Yeah. So you knew that this was fake. It wasn't trying to be real. But it was probably the Murdochization of the British press that slightly blurred the truth. I mean, probably a little bit too heavy for us to discuss now. But
I don't think it was simply. I don't think it was simply the tabloid press. I think actually what has caused much of the so-called fake news is the manipulation of the news, which only really started happening properly in the Blair era, when Alistair Campbell and people like him were put in charge of the message, and suddenly the message started to get presented in such a way that actually it wasn't the truth.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
well, it was some of that, but you're right. There was
spin. That's the word. It's spin.
It was spin. Yeah, there was a newspaper in this country called the Daily Sport, which was once owned by the owners of West Ham.
Yes, right.
And they produced a paper once which said London bus found on the moon, and obviously that is fake. Well, as much I suppose as Freddie Star at my hamster. You know what I mean? These things didn't happen, But they did what you're saying Picasso paintings do. They made people, have a laugh and a.
But the problem now is that it's gone from being what you might have described as sort of tabloid fodder.
That's right.
To like serious mainstream. What's coming out of Downing Street, what's coming out of the White House.
Yeah, but I was saying earlier, Steve. The point is, there's probably a profile of you on Wikipedia, right? Now there's a profile of me on Wikipedia, which I've never read, because the first thing it says is that I'm aged 85.
How do you know that if you've never read it?
Because people keep tweeting me and saying, according to your Wikipedia profile, you're 85. Uh-huh. There are things on it which said, I loved your new idea about putting the baskets in basketball games in America 30 feet higher and all this kind of stuff, which I have. It's one of the few things I've never proposed, and so the fake news to that extent is rampant around the world.
Yeah, but I have to say, Wikipedia, considering how it evolved, is very, very truthful. Considering, it's all funded. There's no corporate way of changing it, and it's done by people. And I love Wikipedia, I have to say. I sometimes go on a Wikipedia journey, and just keep clicking on different links and different people. Yeah. And
tragically, there are a lot of young journalists who use it as a research tool and assume that if it's on Wikipedia, they can put it in a story, which is a bit unfortunate, really.
Yeah, that's...
We get it wrong.
It is.
But, I mean, of course you like it, because somebody wrote on your Wikipedia that you used to produce albums for U2 and all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
That's fake news, Spike.
Yeah.
That's absolute fake news.
Absolutely right. What is the news on the U2 scenario? Are you going to be involved in it?
Oh, yes, I'm involved with them at the moment. I'm going to be going to do some work with them next month.
Okay.
And they, they're doing the Joshua Tree tour, which is going to be fantastic. And then the plan is to release a new album, I think. So,
so it's going to be quite a busy year for you, then.
It's a busy year for them. They, as they say, it's sort of, they've really got to get it right this time. Otherwise, there's no point.
And what's your view of them playing? I mean, one of the big questions that I've seen, and this may be a bit too much of an Anaraki type question for people who don't like you too. But I mean, there's some sort of conversation about whether they're going to play the album in the original order that it was actually recorded in, or whether they're going to play it in a different order. And I was going to ask you how important that is in terms of when you came in to produce it. Do you and they pick together the order of the songs? How does that work?
This is a very funny story. I'll tell you the story. So it took ages, this album, and I was brought in towards the end to come and help sort of fix it. I was like the Red Adair on this album.
Because it was Brian Eno, wasn't it?
It was Brian Eno and Danny Lanois who produced it. Anyway, they could not think of the running order.
Right.
And at the time, I was married to the beautiful, talented, wonderful Kirsty MacColl.
Of course.
Now, Kirsty, Bono had a lot of time for Kirsty, and he said to Kirsty, can you help us out on this? And Kirsty was like the typical fiery redhead, She was amazing. So he said, okay, play me the songs. This one. Okay, that one should be first. This one, no, put that one on side 2. This one, that's great, put that third. This one, that's good. She did the whole running order of the Joshua Tree in about 15 minutes.
Really?
And
amazing.
Yes, she did. And she loaded it with hits at the front. So the fact is, that side 1 of the Joshua Tree is one of the greatest pieces of music ever made. There has been an argument that side 2 doesn't live up to side 1 just because, Kirsty could choose a hit. So songs like With or Without You, Where the Streets Have No Name, all these songs she put on side 1 because, they were great songs. So maybe they won't do it in the order. I don't know. They'll obviously try out different things. And, it will be a great show, which will be Joshua Tree themed.
Yes,
at least.
Sure. Yeah,
you understand what I just said. The running order in those days was much more difficult to ever listen to it back because it was all on tape. So you had to chop the tape into the correct order. Now with digital, you can just move
pick it up.
files around in about two minutes.
Sure.
But it would take 3 or 4 hours to prepare the running order.
And also for people who are not listening to it on an album, it's a lot easier to move around. I mean, if you're putting a side of an album on, you kind of want to listen to the whole album. You don't want to, pick it up, stop it, turn it over, and all that.
Yeah, if you believe in albums, you have to believe that there was some art reason for the order of the songs. I personally, if you ever listen to any of my albums, I put my least favourite song second to last as the penultimate song.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, you've got to finish with a good one.
Yeah.
But, where do you hide the one that you're not quite happy with? You put it second to last.
Or take it off and ask the artist for another song.
No, because then there'll just be another song that's your least favourite.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, you know about these things.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Well, if there is a song that I'm questioning or anything, or maybe it's the drum sound, or maybe it's just my paranoia at the time, I will put it track 11 or track 9, depending on how many there are.
Yeah.
But, it was much more fun with vinyl because you used to have to put the first and the last track of each side.
Yeah.
And then first and the last track of side 2. Then you filled in the gaps.
Yeah.
Now you just put the first and the last track of a CD. So you don't have these pillars that you could sort of build the album on, because you had to finish side 1 with a flourish.
Yeah.
You had to open side 2 interestingly.
Yeah, sure.
It was great fun doing all this.
Much more architecture, really. Well, listen, Steve, great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
indeed
Steve. Always great to speak to you.
We shall speak to you again soon.
Yep.
He thinks Chelsea is a bit of a banker against Liverpool tonight. Some Liverpool fans may not feel quite the same way. That's Steve Lillywhite. We are the Two Mics. Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be doing heroes and villains, of course.
That was the edge, wasn't it? The great guitar riffs on that one was the edge, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, one of the things Steve Lillywhite always says is it's so nice to hear an actual band that plays the instruments, and it's not, there's not loads of stuff going on around it. Right. It's just the edge making all those noises.
Yeah, that's right.
Did
you see the video of them on the roof in Los Angeles?
Yes.
That's where they played that, wasn't
That's
it?
right, yeah.
And that was that was a rip-off of the Beatles, wasn't it?
Which apparently is the anniversary of, isn't it? Is that why you've used this as a means of getting to that? Because I'm not going to...
No.
I'm going to see if we can go a whole week without mentioning the Beatles. I mean, Steve Lillywhite's already mentioned Ringo.
Yes.
Right? So I think
I didn't mention Ringo.
No, I know, but I think we shouldn't mention the Beatles for a week.
I didn't mention the Beatles. You did.
Because I knew that's where you were going.
No, I wasn't going there. But it's true that
you were about to say it was a copy of what they did
on the roof of Apple. The Apple what's it called? Enterprises. The roof of they. People forget, by the way, that wasn't the only song they sang that day. They did
a whole show, didn't they?
They sang "Get Back," and
I thought we weren't going to talk about it.
And then John sang "Don't Let Me Down."
I thought we weren't going to talk about it.
But it was 10 years later, wasn't it? Or 20 years later, sorry, when U2 got on the roof of that building in LA, and then the fire brigade turned up and closed them down.
Well, they tried to, yeah.
We are closing this location down because there were too many crowds on the streets. Now,
as we were speaking, talking about the power of the internet, right?
Yes.
According to O'Hara, actually, according to Wikipedia, Porky is 0 years old, which I suppose is better than 85. Somebody's now gone on and changed it to your date of birth being 29th of December 2016.
Oh, right. Well, there you go. You said earlier before...
But actually, if you were born on the 29th of December 2016, you wouldn't be age 0, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I'd be age of like a month.
Like a month,
yeah. Before we came in the show tonight, we're talking about the Donald Trump situation, and we don't want to go on about it because it's all very political. But
well, no, it's not.
The Attorney General.
Hang on. It's not that we don't want to go on about it because it's political.
Yeah.
But I have been literally, sort of smothered by Donald Trump news. I mean, it's like as if there's nothing else going on in the world.
I totally agree.
I had Sky on yesterday for a while, the BBC on for a while.
I totally
all they
agree.
were talking about was Trump.
Yeah, and
then the reaction reaction to Trump. You know, what Trump does next. You know, there's stories coming out now that he's fired the acting Attorney General because she apparently said she told her lawyers not to go and support his immigration
she wasn't
policy.
fired before the show started. We said to each other, well, Trump will fire her because she's given out the wrong advice. It's anti-Trump.
It looks as if that might have happened.
And now she's just been fired.
Yeah.
But no, what I was going to say was I saw a leading American broadcaster interviewed on Sky TV earlier and was asked for the reaction in America. How's it going down in America? And he said, well, you know, considering the number of people that are in America, there aren't a lot of protesters out in the streets, really.
Not really.
And he also said...
Same here. I mean, with 1.5 million people signing a petition, 60 million people live here. I mean, one of my sons said to me, I picked him up from school today, and the younger one actually said, everybody in this country hates Donald Trump. Obviously, this is what he's being told in school, right?
Of course he is,
And I said, well, let me put it to you this way. 1.5 million people have signed a petition.
Yeah.
You know how many people there are in Britain? And his other brother went, 61 million.
Yes.
And I went, so there's 59.5 million people who haven't signed it.
You haven't signed it. But this commentator from America, and he was a great...
This is how you teach your children, you see.
Sorry?
This is how you teach your children.
Well done, good.
The values of truth.
He was a sort of Howard Stern type guy. Yeah, Stern.
Howard Stern?
Howard
What
Stern.
have you turned into a German?
No.
Howard Stern.
Yeah, but he was one of his sort of ilk, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And he was asked by this guy,
Shock jock.
how's this going in America? And this guy said, well, he said, I can tell you now, if there's another election in America tomorrow, Trump would double the number of people who'd vote for him. He said because those who did vote for him wanted to see some action on.
But you see, the problem is
on the big issues.
You have to say that Trump is all show and not much else really, because an awful lot of the things that he's doing will make it look very good for the people that he's trying to impress. But actually, he's not really achieving very much at all. I mean, for example, what is going to stop somebody who's in Somalia, right? And they've made it very clear, for example, now that if you happen to be a Somalian citizen living in the UK, you can travel from the UK to. That's
because of Mo Farah.
Well, it's not just because of him.
Well, largely it is.
But what they've said is that you will only be stopped from entering the US if you fly direct from Somalia.
Yes.
Now, what's to stop you from going to Somalia to Saudi and flying in from Saudi?
I don't know.
So, I mean, how's it going to safeguard anything?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. How about this from David, which is rather interesting. Trump has just fired his acting Attorney General for questioning the legality of his migration order. Yeah. And then he goes, you're fired. So it's this first kind of apprentice-style firing, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. She's gone.
So the people that support him will love it because that's what they want him to do.
They want action.
But he's not actually doing anything.
No. They want action
because,
and they want to see it done now.
When it first started, it was all about, people with green cards were being held at the border, they were being detained and all that. That's all gone now.
It's all gone.
So they've reversed half of it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy. Now, how about this from somebody who doesn't give a name?
Yes.
Why does Porky insist on calling us his audience? We are listeners, not viewers. And then he says Sutton won't change their cup venue because they will lose the advantage of playing on their plastic pitch, which has so far enabled them to get this far in the cup. There may be some truth to that.
Yeah. Listeners,
do you think there's any truth?
What?
Do you think there's any truth to that?
To what?
To the fact that the plastic pitch has helped them get through the 2 rounds of the FA Cup.
Well, maybe it has. I saw a bit of the game and I heard commentators talking about how fast the game was.
What do you mean you saw a bit of the game?
Well, it was on when it was happening, and I was, busy doing other things.
It was on when it was happening?
Yeah.
You were busy doing other things?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? Well, I thought Sutton was now your sort of champion team.
Well, they are, but I mean...
But you've only just told me that you didn't really see the game.
I did see the game, but the phone rings all the time.
Of the game.
Well, the phone rings and you can't concentrate on 2 things at once.
Really?
Anyway, the point of my story is people said it was a very fast game. Now, what I was going to say to you
what
were you
going to say?
I was going to say before you so rudely interrupted me there.
Well, no, because I have to question you, because when you point yourself as if you're some kind of super fan of Sutton United...
I've not said I'm a super fan.
Right, which you never were until this moment.
I've said that I am a famous resident of Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, and Sutton is attached to Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. Therefore, I know where my loyalties lie.
I see.
When the game comes along.
Well, I'm just surprised you didn't see the game, that's all.
Well, I did see the game. I didn't see all of the game. I didn't see every second of the game. But
did you see the penalty?
Of course I saw the penalty, yeah. I mean, that was a crucial moment, wasn't it? That's what turned the game, because it was 1-0.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was a penalty.
Now, we're running out of time already. So whatever it was you were going to say, there's no time. You'll have to hold on to it until the next hour.
Okay, that's good.
This is Talk Sport.
That's good.
Now, it's a great story from Scotland. I know how big of a fan you are of all things north of the border, right?
Right, yes.
Now, I'm reminded of this. I had meant to talk about it anyway, but I'm reminded of it by William, who tweeted it at us. But this is about the Great Scottish Run.
Right.
You ever taken part in that?
No, of course not.
It's a half marathon, basically.
Half marathon.
But the results of all of last year's...
I've done the Great Northern Run in this country,
the Great North Run.
Yes, Great North
Run.
Run.
Well, you walked it, didn't you? Great North Walk.
Well, I still did it, 13.5 miles.
Yeah, but you walked it.
But you've never done it.
No, I haven't, no.
No, of course not, no.
But neither of you. You've walked it.
Oh, well...
It's called the Great North Run. I mean, you're supposed to be running.
As my heart is incapable of propelling my body faster than walking pace.
So you keep saying.
Yes.
So how many hours did it take you to do it?
It took me 3 hours and 3/4.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, luckily you didn't do the Great Scottish Run last year, right? Because if you had, you'd have had to send your medal back.
Oh, why?
Because they're quashing every single time that anybody did. Because due to human error, the course was 150 metres short
Really?
of the official half-marathon distance.
So you don't get it then?
Well, you'd have to. They've just done away with it.
Yeah,
so,
but you know when you do these things, you get a medal.
Yeah.
I've still got my medal in my in a frame.
Well, you can keep yours because you completed the course.
And a
the
picture
course was
of me and Steve McLaren and Paula Ratcliffe at the finish.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, sure.
What accent was he using that day? Was he a Geordie that day?
I saw your Porky come over the finishing line. I saw she give him the medal. Yeah, she's very good. And Paula Ratcliffe is there. She says, well done, Porky, yes.
Now, according to this piece I'm reading here, the course was meant to be 150 metres, but it was 149.7 metre shortfall, right? Which was discovered.
Hang on, what do you mean 150 metres?
Well, it's 150 metres short of the actual, proper course, right?
Yes.
It's meant to be half a marathon.
Yes.
So it's 13.1 miles.
Yes.
Through Glasgow.
Yes.
Right? It went through a place called Bellahouston Park.
Bellahouston.
Which you may or may not know.
No,
it's a very big park in the sort of south side of Glasgow.
Yeah.
Where a lot of bands play.
Yes.
Coldplay, I think, played there. And they say this, right? The inaccuracy has been blamed on the mismeasurement of the course before the race due to closed roads.
Really?
There was a bit of bladderation going on.
Well, it could have been a bit of bladderation.
Additionally, 50 metres of the shortfall has been put down to the route being incorrectly followed in Bellahouston Park.
Bellahouston Park. Perhaps they were staggering rather than running,
well, the guy who's most upset is a bloke called Callum Hawkins.
Yes.
He's 24 years old.
Yes.
Ran the race in a record-breaking time of 1 hour and 22 seconds.
But now will not be credited
But
with
they've
that.
now annulled the result.
Oh, that's terrible, isn't it?
Isn't that awful?
I mean, that is absolutely shocking.
32,000 people ran in it as well.
Yeah. 32,000?
32,000.
And they're all getting their records scratched.
Yeah.
My God.
Is that dreadful?
It is. I think it's absolutely terrible, yeah.
That is
terrible.
absolutely awful.
Listen, I'll tell you what I was going to talk to you about. I was going to talk to you about gin, right? Gin.
Which is made in Scotland to a large extent.
Well, you see, the thing is, there's a lot of controversy going on about gin, but it's all about gin sort of being unpopular and they want to popularise it again, all this kind of stuff. And it says juniper berries have been blighted by a fungus.
Oh, yeah.
And horticulturists fear it could be the end for British gin. Now, the point is...
That's ridiculous.
No.
I'm not having that.
No. Let me tell you, there's been a revival in gin in this country over the last 10 years.
There's an amazing number now of very, very small, micro sort of gin manufacturers.
Exactly. And it's on the up. But this might end with this... I mean, I've warned... How many times did I warn you about courgettes and spinach shortages?
Well, once, actually.
And there have been courgette shortages, have there not?
Yeah, but, have they not? They're now a shortage of everything. Right? Yeah. People have been posting... in fact, one guy posted a piece on Twitter yesterday, I think. In his local supermarket, they were actually rationing vegetables.
That's right.
You never heard such a thing.
No, but I warned you about this.
No, I know, but I think part of the problem is that people put out these warnings, right? Which then creates a rush on whatever it is that... somebody who didn't normally buy courgettes went out and bought 4 pounds of them, right? Or 5
But
kilos
I warned about it first. Would you not agree?
No, you did not warn about it first.
Well, who did then?
Well, it was in one of the journals that you read, right?
No. I heard it coming. I spoke
to... heard it coming.
I spoke to wholesale...
you spoke to some courgette manufacturers,
yes,
did you?
Well, wholesale greengrocers were telling me weeks in advance. I can't go into that. These people who deal with the major markets in London, old New Covent Garden and all that kind of stuff.
New Covent Garden.
Yes,
where is that?
Yes, New Covent Garden?
Yeah.
It's out Battersea way.
Battersea.
Yes, that's right.
And so you speak to these guys on a regular basis,
I speak to them. I have contact with them. But anyway, let's talk about juniper berries, OK?
Yeah, all right.
Juniper berries, blighted by a fungus, horticulturists fearing it could be the end. But guess what? Drinkers of the spirit can breathe a sigh of relief because the experts say gin's future is safe thanks to a seed collection project that provides insurance against the disease. Juniper berries, mature slowly over 2 years. Do you know that? Takes 2 years for juniper berry.
So what are you saying? In the same breath as saying that there's going to be a shortage of juniper berries and therefore the end of gin is nigh, actually that's not true.
No, I'm saying that scientists have managed to save it. The native species is in decline, that's the juniper berry. Fungus-like disease, which is called Pythopithora Osterosediri, right?
You know, somebody written that when they were pithed.
Yeah, Pythopethora Osterosediri.
Try to say don't even half a dozen gin and tonics.
That's right, has caused particular damage in Scotland.
Well,
since
Scotland
we've talking about Scotland.
Well, it's where they make more gin than anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Which is remarkable.
Since it was discovered in 2011, right? At the same time, sales of gin have boomed and are predicted to outstrip Scotch sales by 2020. The UK National Tree Seed Project, set up by the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew, has collected seeds in the Millennium Seed Bank. It is hoped this will help protect juniper from extinction.
The Millennium Seed Bank?
Yes, the Millennium Seed Bank. It's a seed bank made possible by Millennium Funds.
But what is a seed bank, though?
Well, what it is it's like protects them from disease. You see what I mean?
The seed bank does?
Yes, it does,
Isn't it a place where you just put a load of seeds?
No, but you protect them from the outside problems with fungi and all that kind of stuff. You see what I mean? It says collecting viable seeds from juniper is not always easy, and this will help understand the challenges facing this iconic tree species.
Really?
Okay. But what I really wanted to tell you
So
about...
what is the point of the story, then? Are we going to run out of gin or not?
No, we're not going to run out of gin due to brilliant scientists, but the point of my story is that you are watching that rather dark but brilliant Stephen Knight programme, Taboo, aren't you, on Saturdays?
Well, I don't know if it's brilliant, to be honest.
I think it's brilliant.
I did watch it this Saturday. Last weekend I didn't watch it on Saturday because I was with you down at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So I watched it on Sunday.
But anyway, look, what I was going to say to you was, although the plot looks rather complicated, it's not. It's very simple. It's one man's battle against the East India Company.
Yeah.
And the East India Company was more powerful than every government in the world, except the British government, in the sort of 18th and 19th centuries.
It's probably more powerful than the British government.
Probably more powerful than the British government.
But not quite as powerful as the throne, perhaps.
Yeah, that's probably very true. It had its own army of 80,000 men.
Yeah.
It had its own navy of 300 ships. I mean, it was an immensely powerful organisation. And
run by Jonathan Pryce.
Run by Jonathan Pryce brilliantly. And, you know, woe betide you if you came up against it. And in fact, of course, that great actor in Taboo, what's his name again? You know, the great guy who was in Peaky Blinders. Yeah,
your favourite actor.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, that's him, yeah. He's playing the part so brilliantly. When he decided to take on the East India Company, what did the East India Company do? Decided to murder him. But they didn't get away with it.
Well, they tried to murder Tom Hardy?
Yes.
Why are you telling me the whole thing about without Porky Vision?
I'm just... Because there's another point to this story.
Is there?
Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Now, let me tell you this. Did you know the East India Company were responsible for the emergence, production and invention of gin?
I did not know that.
And do you know why?
Do you know there's still a road called East India Dock Road?
Yes, I know there is, yeah. Yes, I know that, yeah.
Not
down near where you live.
Not far away.
That's right, because, of course, that's where the tea clippers used to come in.
Yeah.
But what happened was the East India Company was the founder of the gin and tonic, OK?
Yes.
Because you know what happened? They had so many men working in the tropics that you had to get quinine out of quinine trees to stop them getting diseases.
Quinine trees?
Quinine trees.
I didn't know it came from trees.
Yes, you can draw it off the bark like you can rubber from Malaysia and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You can draw the quinine off. The problem was that taking the quinine was rather bitter and not very palatable.
Yes.
So
they're supposed to keep the mosquitoes away, isn't it?
That's right, absolutely, all that kind of stuff. So what they did is they started to mix it with something else. They mixed it with juniper berries and sugar. And the mixture of juniper berries and sugar produced gin. Therefore, the gin and tonic was invented and is now the world's most popular drink. By 1858, the drink was so popular that Indian tonic waters were being produced and G&Ts were being quaffed by judges and mem sahibs as a medicinal sundowner on every British veranda and in every club and gin-khana from Calcutta to Kochi to London. How about that?
Well, there we are.
And it was all invented by the East India Company.
OK.
Isn't that amazing? Home-brewed 18th century gin, 11 million gallons of it, swigged by Londoners. Yeah. How about that?
How much do you think you've drunk in your time?
I used to drink loads of gin and tonic. And in fact, I'm thinking of going back to it.
Oh, yeah?
Because I'm getting fed up with wine and the effect it has on me.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of effect is it having? Starting to lose your memory.
Well, certainly bladderation affect us, yes.
Yes. It's not a good thing, that. Bladderation affect us.
No,
it gets to us all.
Exactly.
Let's talk sport.
Yes.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Sport. We are the Two Mics. Heroes and Villains coming up very, very shortly. Max says this. Did you know that Edge's Let's Say learned his guitar style from a guitarist called Stephen Fellows from the group the Comsat Angels? I think I saw the Comsat Angels many years ago.
I didn't know that. Where are they from? Are they Irish as well?
I think they were from Sheffield. For some
Sheffield,
reason. I don't know why I think that. One here from
Played
David.
his guitar very fast, didn't he, the Edge, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, well, he makes, I mean, an incredible noise with, just with that guitar.
That's right,
which is great. The sweetest thing was left off the Joshua Tree, says David, although it was a very good song, it would have sounded out of place on the album. So, very interesting stuff from Steve Lillywhite. Now,
do you know why we're playing that song, by the way? That we just
Anarchy in the UK?
Yeah.
I don't know, is it because of Donald Trump's visit here in June?
No, it's not. It's John Lydon, otherwise known, a.k.a. Johnny Rotten.
Johnny Rotten, yeah. He used to drink in Eamon Duran's, you know.
Did he?
Yeah. I saw him in there a couple of times.
61 today.
Is he really?
Yes.
My goodness me.
It's amazing when people get over 60. Quite right,
Doesn't time fly?
Yeah.
Now, if you can forgive me for a moment, I've got to do something now which we don't normally do very often, which is to get a little bit serious. Right? Yeah. One of our followers on Twitter, and somebody who's come to see quite a few of our live shows, a lady by the name of Becky.
In
fact, she sent us very kindly, if you remember, for Christmas, although we only got it a couple of weeks ago, a couple of bottle stoppers with our family crest on.
I certainly do, with our family crest on, and actually a copy of the family crest, an explanation of what it was all about.
Right.
Thank you very much indeed,
well,
Becky.
She works in the medical arena, right? And she's asked me if we could publicise the situation that a little boy is in. He's only 5 years old. His name is Leo. And as I say, it's not something we do very often, but I feel as though this is such a touching story that we should really just explain it to our listeners. Apparently, his mother moved to Spain some years ago. He was 2 years old when he was first diagnosed with a brain tumour, right? He had an operation to have it removed in Spain, but that had complications. He developed septicemia, but he did survive that. But it then turned out the tumour they removed was actually found to be cancerous, and within a few weeks it had grown back, right? And it was very, very aggressive. So he went to see a specialist at Alder Hey Hospital, which you'll be familiar with.
Alder Hey is a magnificent children's hospital in Liverpool.
It is. And where he underwent a second brain operation, plus some very aggressive chemotherapy, which, again, they weren't sure. I mean, you imagine a 2-year-old having to undergo all that. Anyway, he managed to do it. He got on with it. But almost a year into remission and back in Spain, an MRI revealed yet another tumour. Right. So he underwent his third brain operation just before his 4th birthday.
Yes.
And he was on immunotherapy as an attempt to try and keep the cancer away. Unbelievably, last week, 2 more tumours were found. Just after about 5 weeks after the third one was removed. So he's going to now need a 4th brain operation at Alder Hey in the next few weeks. The reason she wants us to publicise it is because the specialists all agree that the only thing that now will probably save his life is to go for proton therapy, which only is available in the United States.
Right.
And as a result of that, they need to raise about 150,000 quid.
Well, if we can help in any way, we should.
If we can help in any way to do that, we can raise some money, we can do anything we can. It's apparently really his last chance of survival. What I'll do is on our Facebook page and on our Twitter page over the next sort of day or so, we'll put out the various links to Leo's page.
Well, let's put them out on Twitter anyway, because then we can get them out to a couple of 100,000 people.
Exactly.
Definitely on our Facebook page, and we will try to remind people each night this week when we do a show that this is one of the best possible causes you can get involved in to try and save a little boy's life.
He's got a GoFundMe page, which is called gofundme.com/Leo the Lion 3. His mum's got a Facebook page called Leo the Lion's Fight for Survival. There's a Twitter handle at PNET Cancer. We'll put all this out because it's difficult for people to think about that at the moment. But when there are many things that people worry about in life and many things that people get worked up about, but something about children and cancer is just the most horrendous thing. And I know there's lots of other children who suffer, and I'm not by any means trying to just draw attention to one. This just so happens to be a campaign which is current because I think the money needs to be raised within a month.
Well,
in order for him to get out there.
I mean, 2 points about this. First of all, it's a sense of urgency, and secondly, it is a desperately sad individual case. I mean, as you quite rightly say, any child who's suffering from cancer is a priority for us all to try and help do what we can to save them. But this little boy has battled so hard against he's already, many setbacks.
Well, that's the thing. He's already survived many situations that they didn't think he would survive. I mean, they thought the septicemia might kill him.
His little body, his little body will be feeling the the strain of continually trying to have to battle against an illness which sometimes kills people first off. So we've got to try and help and do what we can.
Exactly right. And I mean, we can get into the whys and wherefores
Yes.
of this proton therapy and why it's not available in this country and why somehow it's too expensive for the NHS to get involved in.
Yeah.
But that's not for today. You know, that's for another day. But if there's
Sure.
anything anybody can do
Sure.
to help raise some money and try and get the family enough money to go and get this proton therapy in the States, that would be magnificent.
Of
but
course.
as I say, we'll put it all out there for people to pick up on Facebook and on Twitter during the course of the next few hours.
Indeed.
Yes. Okay. So that's
okay. Well,
that's
it's a very,
announcement I
very
wanted to
worthy
make.
cause, and we will certainly do what we can there. Now, listen, have you been keeping up with this amazing case of an inquest into a British chap who was killed like quite a few years ago? But if ever there was a tragic story and a warning story about marrying a Russian bride, right?
Yeah.
Wealthy British businessman was murdered for his money by his cold Ukrainian internet bride. And this
did I read something about this last week?
Yeah, exactly. It came out in the inquest last week, but all over the weekend, all his family have been saying, well, we want an international inquiry.
Yeah.
What happened was, right, this guy, he met this lady on an online service. Her name was Gana Zwizina, right?
Okay.
Excuse me. His friends all warned him after meeting her, she's a gold digger. He said, no, she's not. He went to the Ukraine. They went to a restaurant. Coming out the back of the restaurant, she said, oh, look, instead of going around the front of the restaurant, let's take a shortcut up the embankment out the back of the restaurant onto a dual carriageway. Right. Told him to stand there and said, oh, I've left my gloves in the restaurant. I'm going back.
Yeah.
So they'd got over the fence onto the road, which was prohibited.
Right.
And then, as soon as she got back over the fence around the restaurant, a car travelling at 80 miles an hour with false number plates on and no lights on came up the hard shoulder and cut him in half, literally.
That takes a bit of organising, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does.
I mean, just in order to coordinate the timing alone.
Absolutely.
Goodness me.
She then flew to the UK and tried to move into his London flat and claim all his assets, right? That's been a battle that's going on ever since. But in between time, this lady's gone and married another billionaire and lives in a £1 million
By coincidence.
villa on in Spain.
And so is she sort of being investigated by the authorities in this country now?
Well, no, this is the point of the story. They believe, right, the allegation is, and, not tarring another country, the allegation is that actually, because of the sort of business she was in, she had close connections with the local cops.
Oh, yeah.
And that they have put little or no effort whatsoever into investigating the killing, writing it off as a simple road accident.
Right.
Despite the fact the car had no lights on, had a false number plate.
A false number plate.
Yeah, and has never been traced. And in fact, it is said by some to have been crushed the following day in a crusher, a bit like a Dr. No type. Sorry, not Dr. No. What was it? Goldfinger.
It was
Goldfinger type scenario.
Goldfinger type scenario.
That's right. Yeah, and now, of course, the family are seeking some sort of justice, but they don't know what sort of justice they can go for. All the reason why it's suddenly erupted is because after a long battle to get an inquest in this country, where we believe that we have the right and proper procedures, the coroner ruled that Mr. Pring, this is the name of the guy, unfortunately, Barry Pring, was unlawfully killed.
Dear me.
Yeah, and short of calling it a murder, there's nothing more that the coroner could have done.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing as strange as the relationships between a man and a woman. Have you seen that other story about the former stable girl, which is doing the rounds currently? Her boyfriend won Euro Millions, right?
Yeah.
And he was away visiting his
she
ex-wife.
moved out the 30 horses.
His ex-wife and 2 kids, and he's gone off with 300,000 quid's worth of horses.
Yeah, but he won 154 million.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest wins of all time.
So do you think he won't care?
Well, he was away with his first wife.
That's what I'm telling you.
Him and his first...
And his 2 children.
That's right. Him and his first wife won the money. He then met another woman.
Yeah.
She liked horses, so he built stables in the backyard of this stately home he'd built, or bought, sorry. Built the stables. He goes off to Scotland, I think, to see his ex-wife. Comes back, the 30 horses have all gone. And so's the horse box, actually, in which they were apparently transported off on.
Yes.
So, life's, Not as strange as life, Michael.
Not strange as folk, exactly
Not
right.
as strange as
Now,
folk.
this one from Evan says,
Evan.
that story from the Ukraine is a mate of my friend, and I know it's a terrible situation.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Is that true?
Well, I presume it's true. Why would it not be true?
The story from Ukraine. It's a mate of my friend. I know a terrible. Well, it sounds absolutely shocking, doesn't it? And how the family will ever get justice now. But what a terrible,
shocking scenario.
But doesn't it just show us all how careful you've got to be in international relations these days because of the access you have through internet and social media and all that kind of stuff?
True.
My greatest fear would be to go to Russia and get involved in some sort of honey. What do they call it?
Honey trap.
Honey trap. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, if you're a sort of, shall we say, portly middle-aged figure.
If I was, you mean?
And some beautiful, stunning 20-year-old Ukrainian came into your life.
That's right.
You might want to just ask a few questions before you start handing over the moolah.
Yeah, you bet.
You know what I mean?
You bet.
By the way, just before we go and listen to the news, remember that story I told you before about booze lager?
Booze lager, yeah.
He's got his job back.
He's got his job back.
I'll tell you more about that later.
Oh, me, yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Heroes and villains. I know who my first villain's going to be. John Hearn.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
The music wouldn't play.
That's a bit harsh. The music wouldn't play. That's why I was
we'll be able to get it to play in the middle of the show.
Sorry about that, folks. We're all waiting for that to kick in.
Yes, we were.
But it was just a gremlin in the works.
It
okay,
is a gremlin in the works. We've had quite a few of recently.
We've had quite a few.
We had a few last Thursday night going into Friday, but
we've had a bit of technical problems.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Heroes and villains. Now, there's been plenty of news over the course of the weekend.
Oh, you bet.
So, I mean, I don't know whether you'd like to go first or whether you'd like me to go first.
Well, I think I'll go first because I always let you go first.
No,
I think I should.
No, you actually let me go first 2 weeks ago, and then you accused me of stealing your ideas.
Yeah, I did actually.
So if I let you go first, it actually gives you an advantage.
Oh, well, you're going to let me go first?
All right, what do you want to do first then?
I'm going to do my heroes first.
All right, do your heroes first.
And it's got to be Roger Federer. I'm sorry, but it has to be the all-time hero of the year so far. I mean, we're only a month into the year, but it has to be. I mean, to come back and win his first major since 2008, I think, is just quite astonishing.
And having not played really much tennis,
although he said
months.
He said the 6-month break did him good because he was refreshed. But he's got to be the big hero. He's the world's hero at the moment, without a shadow of a doubt. So I'm sorry I've nicked that off you, but
well, you haven't nicked it off me, but it certainly was one that was one of my contenders.
Yes, exactly,
because it was a rather obvious.
Exactly,
one, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
you'd have to say that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll do my first hero.
Yes.
Which may not be quite in the same arena, but in terms of what he's achieved within recent weeks, I would say equally valid. And that is a man by the name of Neil Harris.
Who is,
of course, the manager of Millwall Football Club.
Millwall
Football Club, who you suggested should move to North Kent, betraying and abandoning all of their fans, particularly the fan base that lives in and around South East London. They beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup to reach the fourth round.
Yes.
They've now taken on another Premier League club in the name of Watford and knocked them out of it. And so they've got themselves into the fifth round of the FA Cup, which is a magnificent achievement for a club of Millwall's kind of stature and with the kind of players they've got, who you would not expect. If you said to me at the beginning of the season, Millwall will knock 2 Premier League teams out of the FA Cup, I think it's a magnificent achievement.
Well,
absolutely extraordinary.
I have to say it is certainly commendable.
Thank you very much.
Worth talking about. Okay,
so that is my first hero. So it's up to you.
Right, now I'm going for villains now. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you my 2 villains together.
Okay.
And you'll see why. Okay. Here come my 2 villains.
Yeah.
My 2 villains are Dimitri Payet and Leo Ulloa, right?
Ulloa.
Ulloa. No, it's Ulloa.
It's pronounced Ulloa.
Well, okay. Well,
he's Argentinian.
You want to pronounce it Ulloa, that's fine.
Well, that's how he pronounces it.
Well, it's Ulloa in the English phonetical sense. Okay?
Yeah, back to that French show.
Now, he's a Leicester player, right? Now, the reason I connect these together is that Dimitri Payet started it by saying, I want to leave, I want to go, I'm going on strike, I'm not playing for you. So that created the precedent, okay? So we all hoped that would be a one-off.
Yeah.
So he's the first villain, but Leo Ulloa, right, is an even worse villain. He's a Leicester player, didn't play much at Leicester, but has told Leicester, unless you let me go, I'm not playing for you again, I'm on strike.
Okay.
Now, that's 2 professional footballers now telling their clubs, even though they're paid vast amounts of money, And I mean vast, because Payet was on nearly 150,000 a week at West Ham, OK?
Yes.
Hugely well-paid players saying, going on strike because I don't like it. And if this is allowed to spread throughout football, not only are they the villains of the week, they are the villains of the season, who could literally ruin the relationship between players and footballers. So they're my two villains at once.
Players and footballers.
Players and the football clubs they play for. Dimitri Payet, Leo Ulloa.
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 You can't win simply for doing that.
Ulloa. Yes, they're my two villains.
Okay.
They're my two villains. Okay.
All right, well, I've got two villains which I'm going to put in the same bracket as well.
Okay.
Because I think that would be the only fair way to measure it, wouldn't it? So we can have two, you can have two, and I can have two.
Yes.
And my first one of the two is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who has become, of course, the enemy of all left-thinking people, both on this side of the Atlantic and others, but also has upset loads and loads of people all around the world by coming out with this policy. Now, you can say that he was properly elected. You can say, despite the fact that there are people who moan and groan about how he lost the actual popular vote, that's not important.
Yes.
But his kind of style seems to be all show and no substance, really, because what he's doing is creating all sorts of problems for people trying to travel backwards and forwards into America. I'm not just talking about those who are being stopped. I'm talking about people who are just trying to get from point A to point B.
Yes.
And he's causing a huge amount of chaos for not really very much return, because...
But you're saying this is all Trump's fault?
I'm saying it's all Trump's fault.
Isn't it the fault of the protesters?
No. He is the president who is passing executive orders and seeking to claim that he's going to make America safe again.
But he was elected to do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he's making a complete and utter dog's breakfast of it, because what he's doing...
I think you're blaming the wrong people.
No, well, hang on. I'm doing a double villain thing here. So just wait and see what the second villain is.
Right.
My point is that Donald Trump is going about it all the wrong way. I mean, nobody in their right mind believes that if you ban people from 7 countries, only if they happen to be travelling from those countries, only if they happen to be citizens of those countries, that somehow that will make America safe.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Because he's missed out some of the biggest, terrorist hunting grounds, like, for example, Pakistan and Afghanistan, that exist. He's also included Sudan, but not South Sudan, which is equally as bad, if not worse, than the partner to the north. So he's my first villain.
Right.
My second villain, and he's going to feel a bit aggrieved that I've picked on him in this way.
Right.
Because he's only one of many people who are protesting.
Yes.
But last night there were people out protesting in Leeds, in Newcastle, in Cardiff, in all sorts of parts of Britain where Donald Trump is never going to go.
Yes.
Right, if he comes here in June, which Theresa May says he will.
Yes.
But there is one man who I think should know better, and his name is Gary Lineker.
Yeah.
Gary Lineker is on the front page of some of the papers this morning.
Right.
Because he's been out demonstrating, saying that he doesn't want Donald Trump to come and visit Great Britain.
Yes.
I mean, what a plank, I have to say.
Yeah.
That is absolutely and utterly ridiculous behaviour from Gary Lineker.
Yeah.
And I dare say that because he works for a rival organisation to ours, that he will not be in any way, punished for showing his political persuasion.
Right, okay.
But, I mean, I think it really is a bit overstepping the mark of him,
the
Match of the Day presenter, and of course presenter of many other shows that the BBC like to give him to do, like the golf and all the rest of it.
Okay.
So I'm saying Gary Lineker and Donald Trump together are villains of the week.
Right, okay. So you've got a pair of villains there. I've got a pair of villains in 2 footballers. My first hero was Roger
Federer.
Now, my second hero...
Yeah, who is it?
...is in fact a heroine.
A heroine?
And it is Her Majesty the Queen.
Really?
Okay.
You've had her before, haven't you?
I don't care whether I've had her before or not. The point is, this again relates to the Donald Trump situation. She is the monarch of this country.
Yeah.
Theresa May extended an invitation to Donald Trump, which he accepted very graciously. I can tell you now, there is no way in the world that the Queen would react to any protest anywhere on the globe in any numbers by now turning back the invitation that's been extended to the President of the United States of America. Because, as ever, Her Majesty the Queen is, of course, a woman by whom, the standards by whom we live all our lives. And she would never, ever deign to turn back on what has been a proposal from this country to the leader of the Western world.
What are you talking about?
And for that reason, she is a heroine.
I don't follow the logic of that at all.
Yeah.
Can you just run that past me in half as much time?
Yeah, sure.
Go on.
The Queen is the heroine in my view because she has accepted that she will be entertaining Donald Trump. She will have seen by now the worldwide protest that is going to greet his visit to this country, and yet she will never, ever weaken. She will never balk at accepting a man she has invited.
I'm sorry, how does this make her a hero?
Because...
So I'm doing a job, then?
No, not at all. Because she is saying it was a democratic process for Donald Trump to be elected the President of the United States, and therefore he's worthy of a state visit. She will never recant on that. She will never recant on that.
There will be no recanting.
There'll be no recanting.
Right. Okay,
she is my heroine.
All right, well, my second hero also relates back to the FA Cup weekend.
Right.
And I'm sorry to say that you don't appear to have thought this was important enough to include in your heroes and heroines.
Yes.
And it's Jamie Collins.
Yes.
You know who Jamie Collins is?
Yes, he's manager of Sutton.
No, he's not.
Who is he?
He's the
goal
captain.
scorer.
Captain,
that's
Sutton,
right, the captain,
You never saw this game at all, did you?
Of course I did. But
not only is he a man whose physique I can have a lot of sympathy for, because he looks like a guy who enjoys quite a few pints after the game,
right,
which is great.
Yes.
But he took a fantastic penalty.
Of course he did.
I mean, there was an incredible amount of pressure on him. Of
course he did.
You know, they got the penalty.
Yeah.
They had already had a disallowed goal, which to me was not a goal that should have been disallowed. I don't know whether you saw that or whether that was when you were answering your phone.
No.
Did you see the disallowed goal?
Yeah, of course I did.
Why was it disallowed?
It was disallowed for offside.
Yeah, why
apparently.
though?
Eh?
Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
and what I was going to say is, it's such an obvious nomination that I didn't even consider it.
You considered Roger Federer, but you didn't consider your local football team captain, who you profess to be a fan of.
It was so obvious.
Really?
So obvious.
Unfortunately, it was not so obvious because after 53 minutes, he takes his penalty, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way, right? Which was an extraordinary thing to do in the first place because, you know, the Leeds United goalkeeper, you could say, is used to playing at a slightly higher standard of football than normally Sutton United would be expected to play.
Well, indeed.
So I just think, you know, the sort of pressure that he was under, and he very calmly side foots it with his left foot into the right-hand corner of the goal.
Indeed,
sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. I mean, I would say that there are plenty of people who play for the England national team who could learn about penalty technique from this guy. And that's why my second hero is Jamie Collins of Sutton United, soon to take on Arsenal in the fifth round of the FA Cup.
Indeed.
Those were the heroes and villains. We'll tell you coming up next who won.
Me.
Sport, we are the two mics. That is the music for Heroes and Villains, which was meant to be played a little bit earlier, but there was a gremlin in the system. Of course, I was only joking when I said I was going to make John Hearn one of the villains. I'm reminded by Tony. He said, don't forget there's been protests in the City of Culture as well, in Hull. So the Trump protest goes on. And I've got this from William, which I hope does not skew the result. He says, oh, ever so close, I can't split them, but I have to make a decision. You win, MG, picking Gary Lineker. But the man who makes the choice, of course, is here.
Yes.
Mr. Dave Levine, the producer.
Yes.
Very good morning to you, Mr. Levine.
Good morning.
So, what did you make it, first of all, the standard of winners and losers
Actually, this has been the best one yet.
Yes, very high.
Very high
Indeed.
standard. Porky, would you like the envelope?
Yes, thank you. Give me the envelope.
The envelope.
Okay.
Very good.
Just open it.
It's a bit like Postman Pork, isn't it? It's very exciting.
I'm not giving him wine.
No.
And the winner is... It's a draw.
A draw?
It's a draw.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, well,
I
I think, I will settle for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll settle
for that. So you're very Federer-esque, aren't you? Because, of course, that's what he said. You don't remember that either, do you?
What, it's
Did
a draw?
you watch the tennis?
Yes, of course I watched the tennis.
Well, what did he say afterwards?
He said he was very happy.
He said, in an incredibly gracious way, which is what I would have told you if I'd been relating the story, that if there was a possibility to draw a tennis match, he would have been very happy to draw with Rafa, who was a magnificent
well, of course he did.
Isn't
of course
right?
he did, yes.
That's absolutely. And I would just like to say that someone has texted in, and it fully summed up my sentiments on this, that Porky, up until naming the Queen, you were streets ahead.
I was streets ahead,
But then you named the Queen.
No.
Unfortunately, it just I liked three each of yours, and the fourth one I didn't like.
Well,
so
that's tough luck.
I've given it a draw.
So that makes it what 1.5, 2.5, doesn't it? It's like the Ryder Cup.
Certainly does.
Okay.
Certainly does.
All right. Well,
excellent.
I'll be happy with the draw.
Okay. We'll settle for the draw.
Mr. Levine, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Levine.
Now,
listen,
your earlier conversation about Picasso and the what do you call it again? The the thing on the face? What do you call it?
Panicular structure.
The panicular structure has caused a great stir in the artistic community.
Right, good.
Because you've got a guy here called Talk Crick, who's sent us a painting by Millet, who's a pre-Raphaelite, apparently.
Yes.
He says, this is more shocking.
Those pre-Raphaelites.
For the shadow, it caused an enormous scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm looking at this picture.
Let's have a look.
And I'm trying to find the shadow, but I can't find the shadow.
Mm-hmm. You can't find the shadow. I can't even...
I can't find the shadow.
Where's this picture?
The
Who's he sent it to? Right,
well, he's tweeted it at the two mics. I know you can't look at it very often.
Is that like the Last Supper or something?
No, it's not
the
the Last Supper. I think it's just a gathering. But there's supposed to be a shadow which is cast, which has caused the stir. Can you see it?
Let me see.
I can't see any shadow, particularly. Can you? Try not to have long periods of silence on the radio.
I think it's something to do with what's going on under the table. No, I think it is.
There's no shadow under the table.
Well, you have a look. I think there is.
There's a dog, right?
Yeah.
There's a guy with a pair of tights on.
Yeah.
There's another guy standing behind a woman with a dog.
Yeah.
But I can't see a shadow anywhere.
Yeah, see, look at this one here from Phil. He says, for me, Porky wins. All this Trump hate getting boring now. Just let him get on with the job he was elected for. Come on, Porky.
Yeah, I mean, see, the trouble with people who think that is that they don't quite listen to what people say. I did not say I hated Donald Trump. I did not say I don't want Donald Trump to come here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What I did say was that both Gary Lineker and Donald Trump are villains for me this week because of the way they've been carrying on.
Yes,
And all these people that say, oh, yeah, but he said he was going to do all this stuff. Why is everybody against it?
How about this? Mark says, Porky wins hands down this week. Great work and top effort put into his selections. Thank you very much indeed. People get what I was talking about, you see. It was the protest against Donald Trump, which I summed up perfectly and beautifully by nominating one of the world's most gracious people, the Queen.
Who's told you that?
Her Majesty the Queen. I told myself that just now.
You've told yourself that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks, to be honest, because the competition is not judged by them. It is judged by the producer, Dave Levine.
Indeed. Listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about. I came across this list of the things that drive you most mad with boredom in life. And the number one at the top is the one that does my head in.
What's that?
Being stuck in a traffic queue.
I hate traffic.
I mean, that just does my head in. Do you know why? You're sitting there and your life is wasted.
Yeah.
You can't use your mobile phone inside
that's
a car.
Not so true anymore, is it? Because
it
there's
is.
so much more you can do in a car now than you used to be able to do.
It doesn't matter. You're not going anywhere. That's the point.
Well, yeah, but if you're stuck in a particularly stationary traffic jam, you can listen to the radio. You can concentrate on
I don't care.
Your thoughts.
Don't care.
I quite often when I'm driving, I'm alone with my thoughts, and because unlike you,
that's dangerous. You're not concentrating on driving.
No,
you're
alone. No, but you're alone with your thoughts a lot, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I'm, with you, there's somebody else bugging me. When I'm at home with my kids, there's somebody else bugging me.
Yeah, but you're not home with your kids except at weekends. So most of the time you're on your own.
Well, it depends on what you call the weekend. I'm usually there from Friday until Monday.
But you're here on Saturday with me doing a show.
For a couple of hours.
But
for most of
that's
the weekend,
the best part of your weekend.
Actually, it's the worst part of the weekend, because my weekend is punctuated by being away from you, which is actually great.
Yeah.
But I mean, but my point is that, I don't have an awful lot of time on my own.
Yes.
And so I always rather enjoy being in the car.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like traffic. But it means that you can have some time to yourself.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I mean, I'd like to get from A to B very, very quickly because I'm not a sort of guy who likes hanging around. So that's the first one. The second one is queuing. Now, I don't queue a lot, actually. Do you?
Queuing?
Yeah.
No, I don't queue.
I don't either.
If I see a queue, I don't stand in it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't queue for anything.
In fact, somebody sent another thing. Maybe we'll talk about it more tomorrow.
Yeah.
Did they not suggest over the weekend that they should have a slow lane in supermarkets?
Yeah, well, they should have fast lanes as well.
No. Well, they have got
slow
fast lanes.
Slow lanes are for old people.
Well, they have got fast lanes.
Yes.
They've got,
Oh, yeah,
10,
they have actually. I always
10
use
items
it.
or
10
less.
items or less.
Well, you can only use it if you've got 10 items or less.
Well, believe me, I can always convince the lady there's only 10. Honestly.
What, even if there's more?
Yes.
I mean, for example, if you were to buy 4 cans of beans and they're all wrapped in one
That's right.
wrapper.
That's one item.
That's one item,
That's
not
definitely
4.
one item. But I do
What's
things...
the most you've gone through the 10 area then?
About 22.
22?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
You see, that's shocking.
And I just, claim that, I'm a bit of an imbecile and didn't realise and it's too...
Well, I mean, that's probably fairly...
going to the back of the queue and all that.
That's fairly plausible, isn't
always
it?
Get through. Now, the third
if
one...
you go, I'm sorry, I'm a bit of an imbecile. They'll go, well, you are dressed like one.
Excuse me.
By the way, you haven't told us where you got your clothes.
I didn't get them anywhere.
Yeah, you did. You've got new trousers on.
No, I haven't.
Are you going to let me take a picture of you? Put it out?
No. You
Why
make
not?
a complete fuss because they're not new.
They're new.
I just don't wear them as often as I wear other
never
clothes,
seen them
that's all.
before.
Well, that's up to you. You know, I'm not a great spotter of other people's fashion. Now then, the third one, being on hold. That drives you mad.
Being on hold, yes.
And I don't do that anymore. Do you know why?
Why?
You just put your phone on speaker and just get on with your life until they come back to you.
You're still on hold.
Yeah, I know you are, but I mean, if I'm working on my laptop or I'm digesting my journals or
How
something
is your
like
laptop
that,
these days?
it's good.
Is it?
Yeah,
You haven't been hacked lately, have you?
No, you can get on with that and just put the phone on hold, can't you? And then just wait till they come back.
Well, that's all very well, but however, if you are too kind of, shall we say, laissez-faire about it, you can wander so far away from the phone that when they actually come back to you,
I put the phone in my pocket.
You've got the phone in your pocket.
Yeah,
What are you talking about your mobile?
on speaker. Or I've got a little handset from my home phone, which I can also put in my pocket. No, for the pocket there. Junk mail is the fourth one.
Junk mail.
I don't know why that's boring. Junk mail just goes in the bin in my house.
Junk mail's not boring.
No,
it's a bit irritating.
Right, the next thing that drives you mad with boredom, slow web connection.
That I hate.
But I've got pretty fast web connection.
Yeah,
where
well, you're
live.
fortunate. You live in the southeast of England, right?
I do, yeah.
I don't know if you ever watch Country File, do you?
Sometimes.
Did you watch it on Sunday?
No.
No, because they had a feature on Sunday
Right.
about people who live in parts of the country where there's not only no 3G, but they can't get any Wi-Fi either.
You're joking.
I'm not joking. And these are quite often very rural places, right?
That's not good.
And these are people who run farms and run businesses, and they're like, it's
well, how
an
do they
absolute nightmare.
cope then?
Well, they don't.
Can't they get it off their phone line or anything like that?
Apparently not, because in some parts of the country, I mean, David Cameron used to boast about getting 5G to all the major cities of Britain, right?
Yeah.
You go to Cornwall, you can't even get 3G.
You're joking.
Dorset,
Really?
you cannot get.
Can you get a mobile phone signal in Cornwall?
In parts of it, yes, but not in all of it.
Is that right?
Do you remember when I used to go down to Dorset quite a bit? Because a friend of mine had a place down there that I used to use.
Yes.
And I used to have to walk out of the house, up the street, to make a phone call.
Yeah, I've had
to
that
stand,
sometimes.
Outside the.
But haven't they got Wi-Fi in the house?
Yeah, they've got Wi-Fi in the house.
Well,
in some houses,
to that then, don't you?
Well, you can't make a phone call on Wi-Fi, can you? Well, you can, but I mean,
yeah, you can give your phone a signal on Wi-Fi, can't you?
No. What you can do is make a Facebook phone call, or you can use Skype or something like that. But you can't make an actual, proper phone call on a proper phone network.
I thought you could
with Wi-Fi. No, not that I know of.
Okay,
unless you've got something that I don't know about.
All right. The next one is listening to politicians. Well, I don't bother these days. Do you?
Well, of course you listen to them because you have to listen to them to be informed about what they're saying.
I listen to exciting and interesting politicians.
I don't listen to them with a view to being, impressed by what they say.
No, but I mean, you wouldn't switch on the old Commons channel and listen to some boring MP giving you some load of drivel on, the new health and safety regulations in Warwickshire, would you? Huh?
No.
Watching TV adverts. I find most TV adverts actually quite entertaining.
Well, I'm not a big fan, to be honest.
Okay.
No.
And it says here, the thing that most bores you to death is life's everyday routine. Now, I don't agree with that.
Well, that depends on your life routine, doesn't it?
Well, routine is a staple of a stable society. The fact that people get up in the morning, have their breakfast, go outside, get on a bus, go to work, sit at their desk, and then do the reverse procedure on the way home is the staple of a stable society.
No, not anymore.
It is.
Because a lot of people, one, don't get out of their house to go to work. They work from home.
Vast majority still do.
A vast majority of people who work still do, but there's a lot of people who don't work as well.
I mean, look, why do you think trains are empty on Saturdays and Sundays still? It's still a myth that, it's 24-hour a day, 7 days a week. It's not. Most people work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Right, well, let me put it to you this way. Out of 60 million people in this country, how many do you think work in that way?
About 30 million.
30 million?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
So. Yeah, I'm certain, yeah.
I don't think so.
I'm certain.
My routine, for example, is never the same in only 2 days. I come in to do a radio show.
Yeah. Well, that's the same.
4
days.
Yeah, but it's not
5
always.
days.
But it's not always. There's other weeks we do different times.
Routine is good for you because it regulates your brain.
I'll tell you what's really
And the last
boring
one, very quickly,
is you reading out your journals.
The last one, very quickly, queuing at post offices.
You've already done queuing?
No, at post offices in particular.
I don't go to post offices.
20 minutes it can take to get a stamp. Drives me bonkers.
Why don't you buy them from the supermarket?
Drives me bonkers because sometimes I want my letter weighed.
Really?
Yeah.
Now we're back to the penis conversation again, aren't we?
No.
This is Talk Sport with the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
It is a woman reclining in a chair with her head back on the chair, with flaxen coloured hair, but a panicular structure is attached to her chin and then doubles back over her head. What's your problem?
That's just the way you've drawn her face.
No.
That is not a penis.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh,
that is not a penis.
It is a panicular structure.
Rubbish. Well, if yours looks like that, you've got problems.
I know a lot of women who've got breasts, OK? No problem at all. Yes, that's right, yeah.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
I saw Porky come over the finishing line. I thought she give him the medal. Yes, she's very good. And Polly Ratcliffe is there. She says, well done, Porky, yes. I think it's gratuitously offensive.